Reincarnated as Idiot Mob Arc 2 LVL Chapter 12 Arc 2 The Level Idiot and the Netherworld Tower. For now, how about a cooperation? Everyone, do you know? In fact, when stones piled up on the riverside of the Netherworld, a monster called Kawara Unalit, Dry Riverbed Demon, will appear and come to demolish the stones. As such, you can use the piled up stones as a lure, get behind the demon's defenseless back, and after that you just have to end it with a backstab. In this way, you can raise your level safely, you know. Can't you obediently repent? Even if you pray, it won't raise your faith level, you know. That is why I give priority to my worldly interest, leveling. A long time ago, I thought that if I praised all the gods I knew, I could gain the experience value of their faith skills at once, so I tried it, but it ended up as a complete waste of time. I think he's saying that different gods will give you different skills. Even though I made my own avant-garde all-divinity mix-type idol, what a terrible story. Well, it wasn't completely meaningless because it was bought by a passing artist. Now then, everyone is in a good mood, I hope. This is the leveling lover, Sakurai Toru. Right now, I'm in the additional stage of the downloadable content, Netherworld, which is a great entertainment facility where the dead gather. In the original work's story, the soul of the protagonist who was injured and became unconscious due to the battle with a demonkin in the middle stage of the story gets lost, and with the additional heroine who lives here, he climbs the tower connected to the world of the living and succeeds in reviving. This is a place where such a story is spun. If you're asking why I'm in such a place, it's mostly because I was entangled with Higaki Ao, mental shitty bitch, who is currently next to me and got myself killed, but I never thought that the world of after death would be implemented. By the way, to think that Higaki-san would be killed by a delayed attack when she got happy after killing her opponent. Humphrey, my pile of stone that I piled up to kill the demons collapsed. You sure are extremely disrespectful to life, aren't you? Damn it, even though I tried to talk constructively because it was inevitable. This bitch. This is why people who have a fetish for old men is the worst. To begin with, what's with that ninth fire snake? There was nothing like that in the game era. Unfair. Cowardly. Teach it to me. Stupid. So, first disciple donor who was turned into a charcoal and splendidly became a stepping stone for my growth. What did you try to say? I think you should stop dissing people every single time you speak, you know? Look who's talking. How about you look at yourself in a mirror? Just tell me the requirements already. There is a way to revive to the real world, but it's troublesome to do alone, so let's join hands for a while. I'll probably never forget the appearance of this woman who finally gave her consent with a terribly reluctant face and croaky voice after mulling over it for nearly an hour. Thus, Higaki and I leave the riverside and head for the ice castle Niflheim where the Lord of the Netherworld lives. We who came to Niflheim outside business hours were caught by the guards and thrown into the reflection room. For the time being, we were able to secure a safe lodging. It's a place that can keep out the rain, but it being a cage ruin everything. It can't be helped, because we intruded outside business hours. It's just a cage, you know. All humans are sinner, so don't mind the small detail. Besides, we are also murderers, so it suits us, isn't it? Though I insist that in my case, it was a legitimate self-defense. By the way, the Ice Castle Niflheim is open from 9:30 in the morning to 17:30 in the evening. If we take a rest from now on, we should be able to line up in the first line in the morning. This is apparently a perfect time schedule. There are also business hours at other facilities. That's why they were treated as an entertainment facility by the users. What the hell is Netherworld, I wonder? Fine. For the time being, if you have any idea plan, I'll follow you. You don't have to put up such a reluctant face. I don't like what I don't like. So, what are we going to do in Niflheim? Get a point card. Wait, drop your sword and listen. Or rather, why is your weapon not confiscated? Since I'll be sleeping in the same room together with a man, I want something to protect myself, or so I politely asked them, and they returned it. She took full advantage of women's privileges. And, why did she emphasize politely? But well, if I don't explain it properly, this person won't be convinced. If I want to set up a common front with her, albeit temporarily, I must share the information. Let's explain according to the original work. First of all, the netherworld in this world is a rehabilitation facility where the dead who have strong regrets in the world of the living gather. According to what was explained to the protagonist in the game, for various reasons, souls that hold regrets are impure, and if they enter reincarnation, as is, they will put a load on the system that makes up the soul cycle. Each one is a small stain, but if left unattended, the soul newly sent out to this world will be weakened, and it seems that even the body will be dragged and weakened. If the body becomes weak, the cycle of death and reincarnation will be accelerated, and the upper limit of the lifespan of that species will be reduced. It will lead to the death of the species, which is inconvenient for gods who gain faith not only from humans but also from a wide variety of species to establish their existence. Therefore, the god of the netherworld Anubis, who manages the soul of mankind, has created a place to clean the soul in advance in order to solve this situation. That is the underworld. I understand that incorporating the concept of cycle of transmigration Buddhist into Nephilim Norse mythology, with an Egyptian god as its administrator, is something retort-worthy, but I would like you to accept it as such. I see. So, how does the cleansing of the soul relate with our revival? Soul's impurity is basically regrets. So, Anubis thought that eliminating the regrets would remove the impurity. It is reasonable, but can that be true? Her question is plausible. If this is simply to prepare the appropriate pleasure for the regrets, humankind will continue to pursue it endlessly, and as a result, the regrets will be further enlarged. I wonder about that, but there's this tower that you can see outside the window. Come on, get on. I see, it's that, huh. Having got on my back, who is on all fours, Higaki looks at the outside through the small window fitted with iron bars and mutters as if she understood. I'm sure she can see a huge tower extending to the heavens beyond her line of sight. That tower collects people's regrets and creates divine-make monsters. Anubis has created a system that cleans the soul's impurities by having the deceased defeat those monsters and then reward them accordingly. I see. With a reason of cooperate with God by cutting off the regrets, he have the deceased clean up the regrets for him and give them rewards so as to reduce his workload. That's the gist of it. You're unexpectedly good at catching on to things. The unexpected part is unnecessary. While saying so, Higaki get off from my back and gently pat it to wipe off the dirt. The fact that she could it so naturally meant that she is fundamentally a good person. But why the hell would she be so terribly twisted when it comes to things related to Uncle Bonus? Is this what they say, that a woman's heart and autumn weather are both fickle? No, it's totally different, right? I've read it. The point card you were talking about is a record of how many monsters you have defeated in the tower, and among the rewards for the accumulated results, there is the revival to the world of the living, isn't it? It's as you said. So, first of all, we have to meet Anubis first thing in the morning and get the Tokitoka card lit. Virtua card, and permission to get into the tower. Tokitoka card. Please send your complaint about the naming to the gods makers. Furthermore, in the original work story, points could also be accumulated by playing mini-games at event facilities scattered around the netherworld. Just that, the increase of the point is at the level of as different as day and night when compared to the tower. They are practically just places where you can take a break and get unique items. I might go if I feel like it, but I have no plan to go now. Thus, let's go to sleep. There is only one bed. Who will use it other than you? Even if you think about it, there's none though. I feel unwell because I couldn't do leveling that much today. At times like this, I can only sleep and forget about various things. I lie down on a properly folded blanket and close my eyes. Although I'm a little wary of the stirring sound of Higaki lying on the bed behind me, I slowly entrust myself to drowsiness. LVL Chapter 13. Shout out to Tristan Ignacio for becoming my patron. And I decided to change Underworld Netherworld. Sorry for the inconvenience. Stupidity doesn't heal even if you die. Listening to Anubis recited his conversation text with the protagonist in the original story from A to Z creeped me out. However, after determining we had understood the system of Netherworld, he smoothly gave us the Tokitoka card and the permit to the tower, so I think that Anubis-sama is a good god. Now then, we don't have a base to live in after we're released, so we have to get one for the time being. That's right. Besides, we have to get equipment and gather information about the monsters in the tower. That's why let's divide the roles. I'm listening. I dive into the tower. You find a house. Perfect. Which part is? Even though we're talking about making various preparations to challenge the tower, do you want to commit suicide? Yeah, well, I understand her reaction. In this world, monsters are fundamentally stronger than humans. So that you don't misunderstand, comparing levels, untrained adult male is level 1 and the weakest monster in the academy dungeon, Cobalt, is level 3. I don't say that the man can't win, but if they exchange blows in a 1-to-1 battle, it's doubtful that he will win, or if he does, he'll likely be left with serious injuries. By the way, Goblin Leader, boss of the first floor, is level 7. Against it, humans who have no way of fighting will only be killed cruelly. Because of that, entry to the dungeon requires permission even in the academy. Higaki, the chairman of the disciplinary committee, fully understands that, and that is exactly why she raises her alertness to the monsters that exist in this unknown territory. Perhaps the incident of being attacked by a monster outside the wall in the past have also spurred her caution. To be truly safe, preparation such as gathering information in a safe place and preparing equipment based on it is a natural thing for everyone to do, whether it is a game or reality, so her reaction is not strange. But I remember all the types and weaknesses of the monsters that appear in the tower, as well as its fixed layout in the internal map. Then I don't need to gather information, right? I will somehow make do if I get a sword, and if I go for the treasure chest inside the tower while ignoring the enemy's attacks, I can get weapons as well, so I don't need to shop either, right? If that is the case, all I need is a house to have lunch and sleep in, but I don't want to miss the opportunity for leveling for the first time in 16 hours. I don't wanna. Okay, I got it. Then I'll gather information, so I'd like you to find a base. Higaki, you who have a certain track record in the academy should have a higher interpersonal skill than a completely new student like me. After all, you should say so from the beginning. So, how about the meet-up, Artilda? How about around the plaza just past noon? Hopefully, I'll have earned some small changes by that time, so please pick up a place where we can use as a base with it as a fund. Alright. Then, later. Thus we parted, and after I properly check until I can't see Higaki's back, I rush through the back alley to the tower. Since Underworld is a downloadable content that can only be accessed after you reached the middle stage of the story, the monsters that appear have strength according to that rate of progression. Do you remember me saying that level 57 is the average character's level when you passed the turning point in the middle stage of the original game? In other words, monsters that appear in the Tower of the Netherworld have an appropriate level of around level 60. A den of monsters that is suitable for my current level. A place that have monsters with more appetizing experience points than the real world. Like that means it is the most efficient dungeon for leveling for me at present. Who? Hi. Wait for me, monsters. For a just cause, for justice, for experience points, and for experience points, I'll hunt and only hunt you all from now until the time limit at noon, so be my nourishment. I'm getting excited. Having attacked a person in the same trade who smelled like a thug and got a suitable short sword on the way, I tightly grasp the sword and rush into the tower. I can hear the voice of the gatekeepers telling me to stop from behind, but I ignore it. And at the end of the path I run through according to the map in my brain is a group of fully armed minotaurs. Having come into contact with the monsters as I had planned, I triumphantly throw myself upon them with a short sword in my hand. The total experience points of 5 of them is 3,140. I won't let even one you go. I'll do my best to get 2,000 minotaurs by daytime. Having set my goal, I continue to swing down my short sword and pierce through the minotaurs even while my mouth's raised to the limit due to the experience points that popped up in my field of vision. LVL Chapter 14. Huge thanks to Harrison Doherty and Milton James for becoming my patrons. Your character won't change even if you die. Where in the world is Sakurai? Good grief. At noon, Higaki, who was searching up a place to be the base, came to the meeting place, the plaza. However, Sakurai didn't show up even though she had been waiting. Her irritation built up and she screamed in anger without minding the eyes around her. "Don't tell me. He's in the tower?" It was just a passing thought, but she had somehow realized that he was basically stupid even in the short relationship they had. Maybe he was trying to keep her away and challenge the tower alone. Thinking back, even during the division of roles at the beginning, he was trying to challenge the tower without any preparation. The more she thought about it, the more she became convinced, and Higaki rushed to the tower. Rather than feeling worried about him, she felt angry at him for deceiving her. She decided to make him pay as soon as she found him. Even though she thought that being so violent at someone else wasn't like her at all, she didn't have a fragment of guilt or the likes. When she arrived in front of the tower, she noticed that there was some kind of crowd there. Looking at the people, or more precisely dead people, perhaps, who were wrapped in a hard-to-describe atmosphere, one person who was most likely the cause came to her mind. "Excuse me, is there something going on? It seems that a new kind of monster has appeared in the tower and it is killing the other monsters inside. Because of that, the system of the tower becomes strange, so for a while, the tower will be blockaded." "What in the world does that guy up to?" Wait, oi, young lady." Higaki squeezed through the crowd and headed for the tower. Having believed that Sakurai was doing something inside without a doubt, Higaki stealthily infiltrated the tower. In any case, after she found him, she would keep away from the tower temporarily until the commotion died down. She'd be extremely troubled if she got some sort of penalty due to the unnecessary ruckus he caused, and her way to revival became distant. Higaki, who stepped into the tower with such ardor, saw a mountain of monster corpses. Unlike the monsters of the real world, the monsters in the tower were just beings made of energy, that was people's regrets, covered in the skin of monster, so normally their corpses melted away like ashes flowing in the wind, or so she heard. Of course, the monsters lying before her were gradually melting into the air, and due to the large number of corpses that were lying around here and there, most of her field of vision were covered in an ashen cloud of dust. Moreover, when she strained her ears and listened to the sound inside of the cloud of dust, she could hear monsters' death throes. Higaki held her sword and slowly headed toward the source of the voice, which kept resounding without a pause. What appeared beyond her eyes was Sakurai, who continued to one-sidedly hunt monsters with the sword in his hand. "Your respawn time is too slow. There's no way that people's regrets are only this much, right? Come at me, you all." His smile, which had no shred of sanity, were raised so high that his mouth seemed to have become stiff, and along with the loud laughter that came out of there, he cut off the neck of a monster that had just spawned without difficulty. Right after that, he kicked the ground, dodged the spear that came from his flank, grabbed its handle, and while pulling the spear with all his might slashed the monster's hand that held the spear. His laughter that leaked out every time a monster was killed echoed around, and his brilliantly shining eyes kept opened widely without a blink as if he was high. Certainly, if one looked at this scene, no one would blame them if they said that he was a new kind of monster. However, that wasn't the problem. The problem was his slash. That slash. The slash that Sakurai released dash. It was the Sword Saint's beautiful slash that she longed for and loved to the point of being crazy about it. She had a bit of suspicion in her heart, but she suppressed it, believing that he couldn't possibly did it and she must be hallucinating due to the shock of the counterattack that took her life. But now, in reality, Sakurai was releasing that slash. It wasn't just something that looked similar or such. She shouldn't have mistaken it. She definitely couldn't mistake it. That was exactly why it wasn't an exaggeration to say that Sakurai's slash was perfectly the same as the slash of the Sword Saint. To Higaki, what was reflected in her eyes was like a carbon copy. She stood still in a daze. "You bastard!" Her heart burned in fury. Someone who wasn't the Sword Saint swung his slash. Someone other than herself managed to swing Sword Master's slash. Higaki's whole body was filled with wrath at the evil and offensive act, which like trampling and throwing vomit on her own aspiration. Having her purpose and all exchanges they had in the netherworld completely disappeared from her head, Higaki turned the flame sword towards Sakurai without hesitation. Her sword that was cladded in flames burned brightly and thrust it into the back of Sakurai. Huh? On the other hand, Sakurai, who was in a kind of trance and had his senses sharpened, noticed the surprise attack and looked back. He immediately changed the trajectory of the approaching thrust by hitting the tip of the sword from the side, then chased after Higaki, who plunged forward to the wall due to the momentum and launched a thrust just like hers was. TSK. Higaki turned her body around by changing the thrust into a sideways slash, putting a part of the momentum along with centrifugal force into the sword, and flicked off Sakurai's thrust that was approaching from behind her. After the moment of offense and defense, both Higaki and Sakurai rotated their bodies twice to 3 times to soften the impact transmitted to themselves and stood off against each other. You bitch. What do you want by interfering with my leveling? Shut up, shut up, shut up. That slash belongs to teacher. Why could you? Why? If you get in my way, I'll turn you into my ex-punching bag, you shitty bitch. You bastard. At this point, both of them already forgot about their original purpose. The only thought they had was to eliminate the foreign enemy in front of each other. Sakurai Tora vs Higaki Ao. The second round of their battle turned into a 3-way struggle due to the participation of the monsters of the tower and ended up becoming a party of madness. LVL Chapter 15. Appropriate firefighting activity. Iris Knifeline was a member of the guard who protected the Order of the Netherworld. She had whitish-brown skin and silver hair that grew long to her back. Her long, slender limbs, and her breasts and hips that curved ideally drew a perfect body line. Covering that feminine body were nothing but a tube top that tightened her breasts and a micro-mini hot pants. They were consisted of some ornaments like a folk costume, but in essence it boasted the same degree of exposure as underwear. She, who dressed in such a lascivious outfit as everyday wear, was now in a hurry running to the tower. What is it? What is it? This is the first time I've ever seen such heat. What the heck is going on? The magic eyes that dwelled in her eyes had the power to reflect the degree of heat that people's heart emits, just like a thermography. Even in the netherworld, people who were doing evil deeds because they have a strong regret or people with radical thoughts who scatter destruction existed, although few. Since such people often had heat that overflows from their bodies, this ability to mark hidden and dangerous people just by looking was convenient to her surroundings. The stronger the heat, the redder and hotter it felt. In the sight of Iris, who had such a power, the tower suddenly gave off a huge amount of heat. The strong heat, which she had never felt before in her life, spread from the middle of the tower to its entirety. To her, it felt as if the tower was made of fire. What's going on? What the heck is going on? Ugh, Iris-sama, mister. Please don't stop me. I am also a member of the guard. Pardon me for my impoliteness. As a matter of fact, there is a report that a new kind of monster has appeared. Iris received a report from the guards who had been blocking the tower, and she concluded that they had misunderstood. That amount of heat was not something that monsters could produce. Monsters had only life-sized urge to destroy, an obsession with a desire to survive. The body that could carry that heat dash that was enormous to the extent of being visible in a distance, could only be possessed by an intelligent being that had endless desire. Making a judgment from her own experience, Iris raised her voice so that it could be heard by the guards around her. No monster could give out such heat. It is not a new kind of monster but a human being. Please call for support. I will head in to check first. Iris-sama, you can't go alone. Please don't stop me, mister. Grabbing her favorite foldable long rod, Iris ran up the tower. On the way, the corpses of monsters rolled around and the ash dust that came out of them obstructed her view, but the heat that spread through the passage properly pointed out the way to go. Then, when Iris finally arrived at the end, a pair of male and female were killing each other while cladded in flames. On one hand, a male was swinging his sword with frenzy. On the other hand, a female was swinging her sword with rage. The clashing flames and the heat overflowing from their bodies were rampaging like a storm while winding up the ashes of the surrounding monsters. This is bad. The divine make monsters born inside the tower were existences created from the regrets of the people who came to the netherworld. Those who challenged the tower purified their souls by defeating the monsters, and received rewards for cooperating and contributing to the purification work that gods should be responsible for. However, on rare occasions, there were those who make their own regrets even bigger. Roughly speaking, the activity in the tower could be said to be the work that the netherworld gave to the dead. The common dead people devoted themselves to work because there were extraordinary rewards such as revival to the real world and the likes. On the other hand, there were many people who enlarged their regrets, whose importance of reward and work was reversed. For them, returning to the real world was not worth a fart. To keep swinging their blades in the tower itself was their satisfaction, their reason for living. Even though they continued to give satisfaction to their regret, it would only get enlarged. System of the netherworld polished one's soul by using the form of work and rewards. The male named Sakurai Toru, who saw the entire system as a stage set to raise his level, could be said to be a dangerous person who with all his might, ran on the opposite direction on the highway, so to speak. As a result, the mountain of corpses of the divine make monsters who were slaughtered by Sakurai's hands punctured the purification mechanism of the tower, and Sakurai, who continued to take in the stagnant regrets, went out of control, creating a vicious cycle. And Higaki, who stepped into it, also started to went out of control with her rage against Sakurai as the trigger. Since she stood in the way as a being who hindered Sakurai's regret, his attachment with his regret heated up and accelerated the vicious circle. If a burning heart and an excessive regret are combined, it will lead to one's soul being destroyed by fire. If that happens, nothing could be done about it. Even without a life, as long as one had a soul, one could reincarnate into a new life. However, if even the soul was burned out and disappeared, what lies beyond that was death in the truest sense of the word. If that happened, as a member of the void that drifted about in the world of nothingness, one would continue to suffer the feeling of feeling nothing for eternity. To prevent such an end was her reason to rehabilitate the dead as a member of the netherworld. And she couldn't let such a thing pass as a person linked to the blood of Anubis, the lord of the netherworld. Oh God, Anubis, the lord of the netherworld. If I can be the person who reached that height, please lend me the god's authority for a while. Looking at the two who were still killing each other, Iris raises the long rod that looked like a cane and prayed to God. A small water ball with a small light shining in its center appeared at its tip. Iris moved her rod to stir the air and began collecting the surrounding dust into the water ball. The water ball that took in the dust grew bigger and bigger, and by the time the view became clear, a huge lump of water that seems to be twice of Iris' height was created. The light in the center left the water ball along with the collected regrets and was sent out to Anubis. Then she slowly held aloft the water ball that was left behind and, that's Anubis, slammed the water ball on the two fighting people. The exploding water ball caused a tsunami that filled the passage, and swallowed the flames, cladding Sakurai and Higaki. After seeing Sakurai and Higaki pulled by the waves, hit the wall, and lost consciousness, Iris confirmed that the heat had subsided and took a breather. After that, she only had to watch these two people until the support comes. What the heck are these kids? It's the first time I've ever seen such a shuddering heat. Although she thought that she was sticking her neck into a troublesome matter, it would be a lie to say that she was not interested in the circumstances that created such heat and conflict between the two. With some mixed feelings, Iris Knifelime waited for the support coming from below. LVL Chapter 16 Bonus Chapter, courtesy of my patrons Tilda. Natural Flow. Well then, I'm going to be angry from now on. That's okay, right? Why yeah. Yes. Right now, Higaki and I are sitting in front of the additional heroine Iris Knifelime from the downloadable content in the reflection room we were thrown into on the first day. Iris, who is standing with her arms crossed, appeals with her whole body that she is angry, and she deliberately snorts loudly like humph to show the degree of her anger. Honestly, even though I think she's cute inwardly, I'm strongly filled with trepidation that she may have a difference in personality from the original work, just like Higaki. Actually, it's not strange that she might have turned into a sadistic bitch that loved to look down on people, right? Or she might have come to love using her status as a guard to pass down an excessive judgment, right? Because there is the precedent. Higaki, I can't help but be anxious. First look at me and don't think about anything unnecessary. I get scolded, and her appearance is really erotic. I have heard about the circumstances of the two of you earlier. You want to challenge the tower for the purpose of revival. There is nothing wrong with this. Charging in recklessly without making any preliminary arrangement could also be said to be in the category of your own self-responsibility. That part isn't wrong either. But to start killing each other for pretty selfish reasons is inexcusable. How many people do you think get inconvenienced because of it? I deeply apologize. Ha, my bar. Ow. Iris hit me with the rod when I thought, let's apologize for the time being, and tried to apologize. When I look at her, even while feeling a little shock and a numbing dull pain on my head, she continues slapping the rod in her right hand against the palm of her left hand as if to threaten me while looking at me with frosty eyes. Sakurai-san, I should just apologize for the time being. You were thinking along that line, weren't you? Yes. It is good that you are honest. But now is not the time nor place to display that honesty. You are totally too selfish. You do not respect others. You have defect in interpersonal skills. Have your school friends or the likes ever pointed that out? I don't have any school friends. That is. No. Are you perhaps giving priority to your own training and abandoning your relationship with others? Yeah, how do you know? You stupid bokon. Along with such a sound, another impact is transmitted to my head. The pain that had subsided returned and I inadvertently hold my head and groan. It is wonderful that you have something you like and enthusiastic about, but it is extremely pointless if you neglect everything else and unnecessarily make enemies while doing it. Those who seeks their way in the world approve of each other with respect and come to terms with society instead of excluding them so that they are not hindered. That's troublesome. I'm doing what I like. So don't come and get involved with me. If something happens, it's your fault because you get involved with me. Such childish reasoning doesn't work, you know. Everyone, including your teacher, Sword Master Dono, is taking that troublesome thing for granted. The reason you are not excluded from society is that the people around you tolerate your errors, and you just continue to behave like a spoiled brat. I see. It's a fair argument that made me lost for words. Thinking back upon it, I certainly have the awareness that I have spent my time until now selfishly. I intended to be careful so as not to be a bother to others as much as possible, but I feel that will has gradually diminished since I was able to get into the academy dungeon. However, it is a different matter whether I can accept it obediently. Even though I know it in my head, something murky is boiling in my heart, so I can't consent to it. It seems that you are in no way convinced. In that case, I will change my wording and point out your shortcomings so that it can be in line with your values. I cannot say that I fully understand the concept of level that you are talking about, but I am sure that my way of using it is not wrong. Looking at my state, Iris says so and clear her throat with a small cough. Snap. She points the tip of her rod in her hand to my face, pulling my attention, and says, your level of interpersonal ability is so low, even a baby's is higher than yours. At that choice of words that are pretty critical to me, a feeling of wanting to deny that, and a feeling of having to accept the truth come to my mind and clash. I'm stunned and continued to freeze for a while. Got a good scolding, aren't we? LVL Chapter 17. Two guilty parties tried and punished together. Now then. Next is you. Why yes. Leaving Sakurai, who was completely frozen while his gaze kept staring into empty space, Iris turned the spearhead to Higaki. A person you are aiming for is more interested in someone other than you, and that someone is proceeding ahead of you. It is not strange at all to be jealous of that. Right. But why that led to killing each other? Stupid. Ouch. Higaki, like Sakurai, was hit on the head somewhat strongly and tears came to her eyes along with the pain that came late. Iris's rod was a special weapon that directly impacted one's soul. Not many people were accustomed to the pain of the soul, no matter how accustomed they were to physical pain. I want to be regarded as special by the person I admire, so I want to be the best. Hence, I trained hard every day. But why is this guy? It is not strange to feel that way, and it cannot be helped you feel that he is unforgivable. However, To direct that flame of jealousy at others is disgustingly disgusting. What you did was like smearing mud on your sword and your teacher who taught you the sword, you know. That is nonsense. Is your sword meant to kill someone you do not like? Did your master make a name for himself in that way? Being questioned by Iris, Higaki was lost for words. As expected, even Higaki did not think that the sword saint Sanuki Shoichiro never swung his sword out of his own self-interest. However, as she said, the sword master's sword had never been used to slay the people he didn't like. It was because he saved people from the threat of monsters with that sword that he was praised as a sword saint. It was precisely because Higaki was also saved by that sword that she longed for the sword saint. That flash of his drawn sword was still engraved in her heart without fading. Then what should I do? Every time I see Sakurai's his sword, I feel like I am going mad like earlier. I cannot stand it. In that case, why don't you rouse your passion and train? You stupid. Cutting off Higaki's lamentation, Iris hit her head with her strongest power yet with a poke on. Higaki, whose spearhead of seething flame of jealousy was crushed, was silent with an expression as if having swallowed a bitter bug. Seeing that, Iris let out a small sigh and spoke with an admonishing tone. Are you fine with it, Higaki-san? As I learned from talking to him, he has devoted all his time to training except for sleeping and eating. Even as you were sitting happily together with your family, even as you were laughing with your friends, even as you were studying diligently. Looking at his appearance, it made me think that he has been that hardcore since he was aware of his surroundings. The time you spent with sword physically is different, you know. I do not want to say this in front of him, but I am sure he is far inferior to you in terms of talent. By casting away anything and everything and putting his all into training, he finally stands at the same place as you. But neither acknowledging nor praising his effort, you reject it. Of course, even he would be furious, don't you think? Or rather, to be unreasonably robbed of the sword he inherited from his teacher, there is no way he wouldn't be furious, right? I think even you, exactly because it is you, should understand that feeling though. Aren't you fellow disciples? He is your senior disciple brother, right? Isn't what you have to do not to attack but to learn from him? If your teacher only two disciples who inherited his swordsmanship are killing each other, his swordsmanship will end up vanishing from the world. No one wants something like that to happen, I think. Saying that, Iris crouched, met Higaki's eyes and smiled. That smile was soft and warm, but the words she spoke were weighing on Higaki's gloomy heart. Higaki, who could be said to be sensible as long as Sword Saint was not involved, could clearly understand what she said and also her own fault. On one hand, a person who stiffened while being in a daze, on the other hand, a person who hung her head and was silent. Iris clapped her hands lightly to get the attention of the two, and gave the final conclusion. First of all, this case will be settled with you getting a strict warning and a week's ban on entry to the tower. Also, tomorrow I will have you spend the day in a separate reflection room. Spend the day on self-reflecting, so that you can talk to each other properly. If something happens, call me, Iris Knifelime, and I will come immediately. That is all, you get it, right? She said that and ended the talk. Then, while looking at the backs of the two who were taken to different places, the personnel on standby, she remembered the heat they emitted. If I don't watch over the owners of that much heat and they head in a strange direction, it will be bad, isn't it? I can't leave them alone, can I? So she grumbled to herself while letting out a little sigh. LVL Chapter 18 Temporary Reconciliation. One day after the lockup and 2 days after the uproar, Higaki and I are staying overnight at a hotel, using the sizable sum of money given by Aris-san as a reward for subjugating the monsters. We got our own private rooms, but perhaps because we have something to say to each other, right now, we are meeting face to face in a room like this. Well, it's that. As Iris-san said, I also have parts where I was quite arrogant, and because I'm sure I'll be using the fire sword and fake sword saints / a lot for leveling going forward, I thought I should have a heart-to-heart conversation with her so I won't get hindered at such times. That, I apologize. The one who starts the conversation is Higaki. She takes off the Sword Saint's sword on her waist and slowly places it in front of me. Thinking back upon it, what I did was robbery. Moreover, I even used my position as a disciplinary committee member. No matter for what reason, it won't change the fact that it was a misdeed. It is natural you got angry and tried to take revenge. I listened to those words quietly. I wait for the continuation without touching the sword placed before me. I was immature. I was stupid. I spat on your accumulated efforts and just hurt you unreasonably. I am really sorry. She says so and bows her head. It will be a lie if I say that I think nothing of it, and there are things I want to say and do. However, if she, who aggravated the situation to such an extent, bowed her head to me who she hated from the bottom of her heart like this, to properly accept it should be the respecting thing that Iris-san said. Well, it's that. I also invade the dungeon without permission and did whatever I pleased, causing trouble for you. Even at that time, I said rude things to you. But we both were at fault, so we're even. I'm not saying we should conclude it like that. Just that. Yeah, I accept Higaki-san's apology, and I will have the sword returned. Having said that, I pick up the sword that was placed before me, and this time put it before her. I meet her eyes, who is having a puzzled look, and slowly bow my head. I also apologize for the inconvenience I've caused you until now. I'm sorry, Dr. I accept your apology. She picks up the sword and puts it back on her waist. The series of exchanges was to take clear responsibility of each other's mistakes. I still have the ownership of the sword though. By the way, according to the natural flow of events, that sword should be in her hand. Ah, Higaki-san. It's that. We can't challenge the tower for a while anyway, so let's go. I mean, shall we go somewhere for a meal and discuss about the future? You're right. Let's do that. And you don't have to use honorific. I don't mind if you call me casually. Really? I appreciate it. Oh, you can call me anything you like too. Though I said that, is it normal to suddenly call someone with a given name? Something like that is no good, isn't it? Seriously? Well, I don't care how you called me here. But please don't call me that in public. You hear? It's embarrassing after all. Ow was the popular way of calling her among fans. So I called her so unintentionally, but I should watch what I called her. Speaking of which, is everyone on Higaki-ao's single thread on the bulletin board doing well? I wonder. That space which filled my screen with the great chorus of "Ow" every once an hour was unexpectedly comfortable because I could remove the screw in my head. Thinking about it now, both those people who did it and I who watched it were pretty disgusting. Is something wrong, Sakurai? You forgot something? Wah? No, it's nothing. For the time, we are reconciliating, so it wouldn't be good for each of us if we keep dragging each other down. I judge so and leave the inn, following her, while entrusting her, who was responsible for gathering information, to find a place to eat. I think about what to do in the period of 1 week while we can't challenge the tower. LVL Chapter 19. The idiot went and back. Netherworld Guard Palace. As the name suggested, it was a facility where people who keep the order of the Netherworld gathered, and Iris Niflheim also belonged and worked there every day. Originally, she, who was the niece of Anubis, the lord of the Netherworld, shouldn't be doing such a subordinate work, but sitting in a position closer to a manager as she had a proper bloodline. However, she threw that position and thus acted as a guard for the Netherworld every day. She had no regrets about the choice she had made and she was proud to lead such a fulfilling life. Iris-san, you have a visitor. A visitor? Who is it? It's the boy from before. Hearing that, Iris guessed that it was Sakurai. When she went to the waiting space after the tidying up the documents she got in her hands, she saw Sakurai sitting on the sofa, looking small and quiet, working hard on his knitting. From outsider's perspective, he seemed to be doing that just to kill time, but Iris's magic eyes visually caught the heat emanating from him. Although it was not as much as it was in the tower, the flame reached the ceiling and made her felt like it was pricking her skin. Make a loop and +1, knot it together and +1, when a row is formed +14. I see, when the weaved loops formed a row, it will increase as bonus. The knitting skill sure is like a puzzle game. Interesting. The wool mufflers that were mass-produced from his fingertips that ceaselessly continued to speed up in movement in proportion to his growing heat, were piling up like a mountain beside him and were beginning to spill to the floor. When the thread was used up, he took out a new wool ball from somewhere, and when she noticed it, he even began drawing vivid gradations with multiple types of wool balls, looking as though it was some sort of a performance. Hey. Good, this is good. The smile he made without minding others' eyes because he couldn't hold back the joy from deep inside his heart could be said to be looking insane rather than looking happy. Because of the creepy feeling he emitted, she even suspected that he had taken a strange medicine. That child is really... Geez. Because more and more guards in the surroundings began to show the color of caution, Iris, who was holding her head, decided to speak to Sakurai. Sakurai-san? Sakurai-san? Hello, Iris-san. It's good to be absorbed in something, but please keep it in moderation. This place is the guard palace, you know? No, it's not that I'm absorbed in it. What's with all these mufflers? Seeing Sakurai astonished by the mountain of muffler, which had a total height of 6 meters, Iris was a little surprised. This habit of being absorbed in something probably should be corrected somehow. So, do you need something today? First of all, I want to say thank you. Thanks to Iris-san, I reflected on various things I did the past. And I have reconciled with Higaki for the time being. Thank you very much. That is good. I did believe that you too would be able to face your own mistakes and move forward. Iris was delighted, looking at Sakurai, who was holding a muffler and bowing his head. Because his head coincidentally lowered to the right position, Iris unknowingly stroked Sakurai's head. The stiff hair peculiar to boys was not soft to the touch, but she did not dislike the feeling. I feel itchy for some reason. Oops. Pardon me, I'm being overfamiliar, am I not? I apologize. No, don't worry about it. So, you see, I have something I need to do. Yes, what is it? I will cooperate as long as it is something within my capabilities. Iris, who smiled softly looking at Sakurai raising his head, seemed to be in a good mood no matter how one saw her. And in fact her mood was so good that she was willing to cooperate in most things. For her who had a meddlesome part fundamentally, the growth of Sakurai who had tremendous heat in his body was something to be proud and happy about as though it was her own. That was why, looking forward to what he would say next and what kind of growth he was heading for, her smile grew wider. As for Sakurai, after exhaling a little as though to calm himself, he stared at Iris's eyes with a determined gaze and spoke with a voice that was audibly clear to the surroundings. Since I can't challenge the tower, I'm thinking of trying to work hard on picking up women. But how do you hit on someone, Iris-san? Shall we go to the reflection room for a moment, Sakurai-kun? The guards around later said, what a stunning iron claw. LVL Chapter 20. There is no mistake in theory. After being politely thrown into the reflection room, I was confronted by Iris-san and asked about the true meaning of what I said in the waiting space. She is looking at me with a despising-like gaze as if she's looking at a disappointing, or rather a somewhat different life form. But that utterance was based on a solid idea, so I wished she'd stop it with that kind of eyes. Well then, let us hear that idea. Since she asked for an explanation, I straighten my back, puff up my chest, and start the explanation. Because there's nothing I should be ashamed of, shouldn't I say it proudly? First of all, when I thought about what interpersonal skill is, I concluded that the main point of it is communication skill. Whether it's in the workplace, in the relationship with family or friends, or even in romance, isn't all human relationships people built originated from the great wisdom, communication? When I thought so, I came to the conclusion that putting it another way, interpersonal ability is communication ability in itself. Certainly, that may be the case. Please continue. Then what is communication ability? It goes without saying that it allows you to give a good impression to people, to move people, and to tell a story in an easy-to-understand manner, even feel sympathy to other. There'll be no end to it if I have to point out the others too, but I think it can be summed up into 3. They are ability to listen, ability to convey, and ability to understand the state of mind. These are the main points of communication ability and interpersonal ability. I think that consideration is correct. So, what do you want to do to polish them? Picking up women. Let us hear the reason. As a matter of course, to pick up women, you need the ability to convey your favor to them. And in order to have them to go with you, your ability to understand their state of mind must be high too. Furthermore, in order to select words to move the other party's state of mind, the ability to listen to the other party's reactions and words is important. Isn't this an act that requires all the core of communication skill? If that's the case, the more successful I'm in picking up women, the more experience point I will accumulate, and my interpersonal ability will certainly increase, isn't it? Well, let us say that is the case. So, if you succeed in picking up a woman, what are you going to do with the other party? No, if I succeed, I will get experience points, and I will have no particular use of her anymore. That is why, you stupid. Ow, Poco Poco Pocon. Dash is so I get hit many times, holding my head, I roll around the floor. Why? My theory should be perfect, right? Is there a more efficient way to level up interpersonal ability than this? I am so shocked that I couldn't put it into words. When I thought you have reflected and think about things properly, why did you come to such a deplorable conclusion? Did Higaki-san not say a word hearing that? When I told her, she had a bitter face and said, for the time being, why don't you ask Iris-san for advice? Doesn't that imply she gave up and left me to take care of problem? Muyu. Iris-san, who is holding her head and going around in circles like that, must has excessive energy. Well, the netherworld is basically crappily peaceful. From the content of the conversation with the mob characters in the original work, there seems to be nothing but troubles such as stopping the conflict between adventurers who challenge the tower or finding missing pets in the neighborhood, occurred here after all. That's probably why she has excessive energy. That was why when the ancient evil god was resurrected and took over the tower at the moment the protagonist came, they fell into a real difficult situation. Well, it's still a long way ahead until he come. And 1 month here is about a day in the real world due to the distortion of time and space, so I don't have to worry over it. Anyway, it's about time for the pain of my head to subside. Iris-san says, please wait a moment. And locked the reflection room from the outside and leaves. I quietly make use of the lock to earn experience points of the unlocking skill. After 1 hour since I succeeded in unlocking the key, I practice swinging while waiting because I was free. Iris-san comes back with a triumphant smile. For some reason, Higaki is also following behind her, and she sighs as soon as she sees me. Are you sure about it, Iris-san? Of course. We don't know what he will do if he is out of sight after all. In order to prevent unnecessary uproar, I will supervise properly. I don't get what you two are talking about. Listen here, Sakurai-san. In order to improve interpersonal skill, you have to focus on getting involved with people, which stresses on communication skill. That viewpoint is correct. However, your means, or rather lack of consideration that can't even be put into words, is overflowing in selfishness. It is no good. It is a no-no. Saying that, Iris-san points her long rod at me with a snap, and with a daring face as if to say that she will not allow any objection, declares, so I would like you. No. You two to do your best for the peace of everyone who lives in the netherworld as a guard like me in this 1 week period. I don't want to give up. I have already received permission from Anubis-sama. Hey, stop with that completely reluctant face. I stare at Iris-san silently while letting out a feeling of being annoyed at her, who made the necessary arrangements in this little 1 hour, in full throttle. However, without minding me, she begins to explain with a grin. First of all, put on this badge that shows that you are a guard. Since even continue staring at her for a while has no effect, I resign myself and put the badge I received on my chest. The golden badge shines on my chest. It indicates that the mini-game of the original work guard activity record that triggered in the Netherworld Guard Palace has started. LVL Chapter 21. Honesty. Guard activity record is a mini-game set to solve the troubles of Underworld while helping Iris-san as a temporary guard. The content is a game of tag with a time limit. You will have to seize the target according to the trouble that occurs randomly while you walk around the Netherworld. For example, if it's a crime you will have to catch a criminal, and if it's a missing case you will have to find a missing person, including pet. So is the gist of it. If the target is found by the player, they will go to the outside of the area to escape. If the player can catch them in the meantime, then that will be a success. If not, it will be a failure. And depending on the final score, you can get a small number of points corresponding to it and a favorable impression from Iris. By the way, her favorable impression influences the story in the underworld, and will eventually determine whether or not she will follow the protagonist when he gets revived to the real world. Since Iris-san is originally a character from an additional content, she has no influence on the main story, and she rarely speaks at the main scenario event. The benefits from her following to the real world are the addition of Christmas and Valentine's Day events, the release of some sub-scenarios, and the increase in the number of quests in the Adventurers Guild. So, about this mini-game. Actually, it's quite troublesome. First of all, the map area, namely the underworld, is so large that it takes time to chase and catch the target. In addition, since troubles occur randomly, an overlapping situation, such as a trouble of missing person occurs while you are in the middle of chasing a criminal, is not rare. Well, if it's just that much, it probably can be said to be within the range of difficulty of ordinary minigames. The problem is that you have to give instructions to the NPC, Iris-san, as well as the player to move. As I said at the beginning, the essence of this minigame is to help Iris-san as a temporary guard. Therefore, Iris will also participate in the map as a helping character. You can move her around the map by giving her instructions, and she will automatically chase when a target to chase enters her perception range. Just that, because Iris's perception range is too wide, it was often the case that she'd just end up moving back and forth between places without being able to catch anyone. Iris's perception range is very wide, probably due to the setting of her magic eyes. Even if it's beyond a building that is out of sight, as long as the target enters her perception range, she'd notice them and give them a chase. However, in the original game, it was not possible to prioritize the targets, so if target B enters her perception range while she is chasing target A, she'll stop chasing target A and start chasing target B. Such situation often occurred. Moreover, the shorter the time limit gets and the higher the score you accumulated, the higher the trouble's rate of occurrence will be, so on the latter half, she'd become useless. For that reason, not only the player's frequent instructions are necessary, but they also have to predict the route of the opponent who escapes while chasing the target, give instructions to her, correct her if she's going in a strange direction, and repeats. To aim for a high score, you can never overcome the hurdle without her cooperation. It's not hard as a mini-game, but it sure is absolutely annoying. In addition, even after you get a high score, Iris's favorable impression would still continue to be corrected. Coupled with troublesomeness of the game itself, I didn't play this mini-game much. I remember that the VR version player who can play in first-person perspective liked it because they could experience a movie-like chase scene and giving instruction to subordinates in a simulated manner, but as expected, when it comes to the repetitions, they gave it a uniformed evaluation, which was troublesome. Now then, in order to protect the peace of the netherworld and in order to get involved with the locals and improve Sakurai-san's humanity, let's do our best. Despite raising my arm a bit to match Iris-san who yelled cheerfully for some reason, I immediately part from them and think up a plan on how to slack off. Iris-san is my benefactor who has improved the relationship between me and Higaki, but I don't feel the need to increase her favorable impression because I have no intention of being involved in the original story in the first place. Well, I know that she has been looking out for me, but this mini-game has no relation to leveling, and since that's the case, I can't muster up any motivation. Nevertheless, it's rude to ignore her, right? Let's play along while slacking off moderately. When I decided so, Worldly Wisdom +1 such notification appears at the edge of my field of vision. I see, a decision regarding a situation is also deemed as an action. This is a good discovery. This must be how I can have a mutual relationship with the society. Then I'll do my best with my own power without borrowing the help of others. You are strangely brimming with motivation for some reason, Sakurai-san. That is, of course. I've been indebted to Iris-san after all. I'll do my best to pretend to be motivated to do this waste of time activity. Honesty is usually a virtue. But Sakurai sure is genuinely demonstrating it in the opposite direction. From your appearance, I guess that was not on purpose, but your nature is really bad, isn't it, Sakurai-san? Now then, due to geography, about half of the targets will escape through the back alleys, so while taking position and practice swinging in one, let's get a moderate evaluation. LVL Chapter 22. The fool's learning pace is slower than a snail's pace. Despite saying those things, you could do what you have to do splendidly. It is plainly getting on my nerves. The true nature of this world is a game, but there is reward for all those works. And the fact that we were able to catch that many bad guys is worth celebrating. Let's end the day here and raise a toast. That is to say, there are main characters in this world, there are events related to them, and there are stories spun around them. All of them only occur in the presence of the protagonist, player, and conversely, the stories don't occur in the place where the protagonist isn't around. The events won't occur. The ones who change the world are the main characters, and the things that progress the world are events and stories, so unless those things take place, the state of affairs at that point will continue as if time had stopped. Because that is the basic principle of games, this world is surely the same. By the way, I heard that you two are saving up points to revive. I personally think that lives must not be made light of, and I cannot agree with the revival of the dead, but still, I think it is a pity that your hot and intense heat are lost from the world. Excessive heat is poisonous, but without it, the world would become a boring place. Sakurai Toru, mob character, is not a protagonist. The protagonist is a boy named Imanai Hayato. The stories won't progress in a place absent of him. Not to mention the Netherworld event, which will only be triggered when the number of exchanges and favorable impression to the protagonist reach a certain threshold. It definitely won't start. I thought so from the bottom of my heart, and that was why I did nothing apart from leveling diligently and merrily. Being able to concentrate on just that was extremely pleasant. Once, I was brought by my uncle, Anubis-sama, to the world of the living. Even to this day, I still remember the heat of the living people I saw at that time and the warmth of the world it creates. To support that warmth, I am sure that fierce heat like yours is necessary. That is why, I secretly root for you too, you know. Sitting at a table in the outside of a bar, Iris-san said so without embarrassment while being tipsy and with a liquor in her hand. Hearing that, Higaki said with a wry smile, "We're not such prominent people, and I thought at that time, come to think of it, there was an episode like that, remembering a memory from my previous life. If the protagonist isn't present, the event won't occur. Thinking about it now, it must be because I baselessly believed so that I couldn't move until it was over." Iris-san, dodge. Even in the moment when an unknown person suddenly landed between us, pierced Iris-san's abdomen with a golden spear. Even when Higaki, who pulled out her sword in response, was blown into the inside of the bar by the counterattack of the unknown person. Higaki saw ... Sakurai. Even when Iris was still worrying about us despite being confused about what happened to herself, and even when that unknown person picked up Iris-san, who still had a spear sticking into her, and took her to the tower with a jump. I was just staring at all of it in a daze. The event that happened before my eyes was a scene I saw many times in my previous life, and I could immediately understand what was happening and who the attacker was. However, I couldn't understand why it was happening. After the daze, come bewilderment, and all I do is tilting my head, continuing to look up at Iris-san, who is getting smaller and smaller, while the surrounding people who noticed the turmoil suddenly make a ruckus and move about as they please. I wonder what will happen after this. I don't know the reason, but the main event of Netherworld in the original work has started. The tower where the assailant escaped to will be blocked soon after this, and it will become impossible for me to earn points for revival. I wonder what I should do in this situation I'm dragged into, whether willing or not. The hunting ground, namely the tower, will becomes unavailable due to the assailant. The efficiency of leveling in this stage will be reduced by several levels. When my thought reaches up to that point, spontaneously, anger seethes me. and hatred for the assailant who leapt into the sky and ran away, swells. Sakurai. It's the voice of Higaki who was blown away and is coming out of the bar that cools down my head. The pressure of her gaze that is looking at me even while bleeding and having a great number of splinters piercing her shoulders, suppresses the heat that boiled in me. What are you doing? Let's chase them. No, we won't be able to catch up with them anymore. Then what the heck are you going to do in a place like this? Being grabbed by the collar, I'm slammed into a nearby wall. I perceive regret, anger, and impatience mixed in the anguished face right in front of me. There, I finally realized the mistakes that I did. Even though this part of me kept getting scolded by Iris-san. However, I don't think I can change myself that easily. Therefore, without looking away from Higaki's blaming eyes and without shaking off the powerful and oppressive grip holding my collar, I draw a blueprint about the future in my head. Then, letting out a long exhale once, I quietly declared to Higaki. Isn't that obvious? In front of the glowering Higaki, I stare at the sky and mutter, I'm thinking of the best way to save Iris-san. TN, the way the author referred to main character and the protagonist was different. They were Minkiara and Sujinko respectively, so I assumed that protagonist was referring to only the hero, Amanai Hayato, and main character, S was referring to the hero and the heroines. Trivia: the kanji of the fool used in the title could also be used to refer to the fool in tarot cards. LVL Chapter 23. The Evil King of the Night Sky. Iris woke up in a dim place similar to the reception hall of the Ice Castle Niflheim. She was seated in a chair made of cold ice. Her hands were restrained with chains connected to the ceiling, and a golden spear was pierced into her abdomen, sewing her in the backrest. Did my bleeding stop because my blood was frozen by the cold air? The blood I lost might look less than I thought, but on the other hand, seeing that the wound does not feel cold nor hot, it might be more serious than I imagined, so she thought. Is this in an inside of the tower? I have never seen a place like this before. This is a secret place deeper in the center of the tower, known only to some, although there may be no one other than Anubis and I know of it at the present time. What appeared before her, whose condition could already be said to be on the verge of death, was a 2 meters tall giant man. The man had one side of his head shaved, but on the other side he had long purple hair that reached his feet, thereby wrapping not only half of his face, but also half of his body. He carried a huge battle axe on his back, and his upper body was a slender one that could be said to be toned rather than trained. However, the swirling red tattoos engraved all over his body gave the man a presence that made him look more than 2 times larger, making him look imposing and ferocious. Moreover, those tattoos even ran through his head, reaching even his face and ears. And perhaps to adjust the imbalance of his head, he constantly tilted it to the side that was shaved. Iris had her breath taken away at the strange, but imposing manner of the queer man. Don't be so vigilant. This is a long-awaited reunion, is it not? Who are you? What the hell are you? No, how could you say so, Iris? You are asking who I am? The man, who instantly had an angry expression at Iris's question, grabbed the spear sticking into her and pulled it out roughly. The pain and heat that should have disappeared returned, as though running through the opened and gaping wide hole in her body. Iris groaned and screamed to relieve that pain, even by a little. Why did you scream? Does it hurt? Even though you've hurt my feelings, you dare to say it hurts? You. The man hit Iris many times with the spear furiously. The literally senseless violence accelerated the speed of the fire of her life dissipating. Ha. No, wait. I see. Anubis. This is your doing, isn't it, Anubis? Damn you, you abominable younger brother. Iris is innocent. Gah. While the man screamed with a resentment-filled voice toward the sky, he pierced the spear in his hand back into Iris's abdomen. The movement of the spear that returned to its original position made her felt a pain as though it was digging around in her insides due to it rubbing with her wound. Iris spat out the blood that had risen from inside her. She could not help but wonder why she was still alive even though she had been treated cruelly so far. In that case, allow me to tell you. No, you have to know. My name is Barbie Niflheim, Anubis's older brother and your father. What kind of nonsense? are you spouting? Did that guy say that your father was dead? No, you got it wrong. It was all a lie. He robbed me of you, my belonging. Selfishly. Iris could not understand what Barbie was saying. She was told that her father had died in a battle with a wolf monster called the End. It was said that when Anubis and the others lived on the world of the living, he fought to the bitter end while protecting the people running about trying to flee, and lost his life. Once in the past, when she was taken to the real world, Anubis gently recounted that story to her. Thus she became proud of her father whose face she did not even remember. She felt that the warm place, namely the real world, was a treasure that her father protected. That was why she aspired to become a guard that would protect the order of the netherworld, so that she could protect someone else. Inside her heart, she thought of her father as her ideal and deified him. That was why she has sought a way of life that would not embarrass her ideal father. Ugh. Irritating. Not only did he rob me of you, but he even rewrote your memory. How could he do such a thing to his older brother, to the father of his niece? He is evil, too evil. And you, for whatever reason, how could you forget me? Who do you think you belong to? Why can you not remember me? You are a bad child. You are a really bad child. Even if you fall into the evil hands of Anubis, it is your duty as my daughter to never forget me. That was why she could not understand the man before her who called himself her father. She did not want to admit that such an ugly being was her family. The sinister heat he gave off burned her eyes. She closed her eyes tightly to escape the pain, only to realize that the blade-like heat even pierced into the back of her eyelids, making even her heart go creaking. Well, fine. You have some faults, but the cause of it all is Anubis. Thus, now that you are back under me, everything will be fine as long as you carry out your duty. Release me. Silence. Don't move. Go. Barbie clutched Iris's head. His unrestrained clutch caused his fingers to dig into her temples, causing her severe pain. Even though she shook her head to resist, he increased his power as though to say he does not allow it. All Iris could do was screaming. All right. Hey, Iris. What is the name of the man who kidnapped you? What is the name of the man who raised you? What? I will let that slide, so quickly answer me. Do you intend to make me repeat myself? Remember. Say it. It is A-H-G. The name did not come out. It was Anubis, who raised me to this day. Who is apostrophe? Do I forget because of the pain? No, that's not it. Apostrophe is. Why can't I remember it? Iris even forgot about the pain she felt until just now, and was just stunned at her memory that suddenly missing. Apostrophe should be an important and respected existence for her. However, she could not remember not only their name, but also their face, their figure, and what kind of person they were. Even though she just talked to them a few days ago, her memory about that person was gone, as though there was a gaping wide hole in her memory. Such a thing. Why? How? What did you do to me? All right. It is gone now, is it not? That's good. You do not need to remember anymore. Why? Can't you hear me? Their name is? Why? She could not even register the words Barbie said. Despaired and frightened, she rampaged to escape Barbie. However, her reckless actions only eroded her own strength, made her wound widen and the chains that bind her hands to dig deeper. Release me. Don't touch me. Return it. Number. There are too many unnecessary things in your head for you to return to your family. I have erased everything so you can return to be my daughter. This is necessary. Do not be selfish. Barbie smiled at the frenzied Iris. Even though he called Iris his daughter, he slowly and politely erased her memory of unnecessary things from her head, as though he enjoyed her suffering. No, someone save me. Don't be rebellious like that. Even if you inherit my stubbornness, you will die soon with that sort of wound, you know. And that is no good. Okay? Unnecessary. This is unnecessary as well. All you need is me, your father. Live on remembering only that. An endless mass of ego. The evil king of the night sky. Barbie Knifelime guffawed while enjoying the screams of the crying Iris. He must have a lot of screws loose in his head. LVL Chapter 24. Double chapters. Sponsored by my patrons. I don't have time, so I draw my sword. Thousands of years ago, when the gods still lived in the real world. Born as the brother of Anubis, the god and king who ruled the country of Kelam. That was Barbie Niflheim, the boss of the Netherworld Ark. Father of the additional heroine, Iris Niflheim. He was an extremely atrocious and selfish being in those days. Instead of protecting people, he treated everyone, even a baby, as his own property. To him, the country was nothing but a system that allows him to live comfortably, and the people were only the parts that made it up. Also, he himself is supreme. Such arrogance made him didn't permit the situation where others have something that he does not have. If there was no sea in his country, he would destroy all countries that faced the sea, and if he heard that there was a country with more advanced technologies than his, he would rob those technologies and destroy the country. If things didn't go as he expected, he would start rampaging, and would continue to kill anyone he disliked who enters his sight. His rampage would last from morning till night, and what would be left under the night sky were a mountain of corpses and him alone. That was why he was called the evil king of the night sky. He, whose strength was simply ridiculously strong, made many enemies, yet his ego didn't show any signs of settling down. Eventually, he dealt with his own parents, who gave him a warning, because they were noisy. Moreover, as could be read from the in-game documents, he attacked them in their sleep. From this you could glean on Barbie's bruteness. Iris was born as a daughter or such a man. The words "I wanted child" sounded good, but his reason when saying that was so selfish. It was because even though other people have children, it's strange that I don't have one. Because of this reason and the deeds he had done so far. Also because fearing that Iris will become the second king of the night sky, the allied forces of his brothers and people who suffered because of him, led by Anubis, attacked him, and Barbie finally met his end. As a retribution of his tremendously evil deeds, his soul was denied entry to heaven, hell, and even the netherworld, then dispersed. Or so it should, because that DV domestic violence complex bastard left a bit of his soul in Iris who inherited his blood. He was able to store up power by feeding on the heat, energy, that could be observed by her magic eyes. Then, in the story of the original work, the strong heat released by the protagonist became the last push, and he revived by manufacturing his own body using the divine-made monster manufacturing system of the tower. Having erased the memories of Iris he abducted and gave her power, he made use of her who could get close to Anubis without being suspected and assassinate the Lord of the Netherworld. Afterward, he destroyed the Netherworld and tried to build his own country in order to take revenge on those of the subjugation army that attacked him. Such anger-inducing person whose shallowness and bruteness were inversely proportional was a famous character among the fans as a punching bag for relieving stress. Can I solo capture him? My current level is 74. This is the average level at the final stage of the main story. Looking at the numbers alone, I should be strong enough to fight against an opponent like Barbie, even solo. In the first place, the setting of this additional content was that the soul of the protagonist alone came to Netherworld while he was in a coma, so the only party members he could get was only Iris and a few nameless characters that could be hired in the guild. Since Iris would end up being kidnapped midway, the number and the quality of party members are less important than when tackling the main story, so even a solo capture was possible. No, a solo capture and turning him into a punching bag is only possible if I did preliminary arrangements. I didn't make any preparation like that, and neither my equipment nor skills are enough. Also, it would take time to gather and grow comrades. I don't have time to do something like that, right? Unlike in the game, there must be a time limit before Iris have all of her memories erased and becomes Barbie's chess piece. If only I have time to make preparations. It is a grave situation that makes me seriously think of throwing the towel and reset. In addition of the sword that I have is only a common one. The armor I'm wearing is just the initial equipment I got when I enrolled to the academy. You know. What do I have to do? And my items were used up in the battle with Bonus Uncle. Even so, it doesn't mean that we have no chance at all. First of all, let's go meet Anubis. Even if we have to use force to get an audience, we will make him listen to the story. You really can save Iris-san, right? First, let's meet him and have him listen to the story. Then we proceed ahead. Well, It's going to be fun, you know. So I'm counting on you for support. Damn it, even if it's so we can get help, why do we have to do something like this? If we failed, you have to take responsibility, okay? There's no other way. We don't have time or money after all. We have no choice but to get all kinds of equipment we lack from the people who owns them. While saying so, I draw out my sword under the cover. At the end of my line of sight is the ice castle, Niflheim, where Anubis lives. The information about the uproar must have reached them, as I can see the guards are bustling about the place. Then I exhale a little to calm my mind. Anubis is in the middle of an audience. You do remember the way we took to meet him at the beginning, right? Clearly. Then, we will charge there. Keep in mind to ignore the surrounding people, but eliminate anyone who gets in the way. It is not a problem to kill them, okay? Because they only exist as a soul. They can be restored by the power of Anubis. Though if you do that, your image will definitely turn bad. That would be no difference from an armed robbery, right? If only we have time, I'll take an easier and safer measures. Don't be willful, Ao-chan. In any case, this is a race against time. I'm not good at time attack, but I have the ways to obtain every items and equipment you can get in the netherworld in my head. You can do anything if you put your mind into it, right? Wait for me. You brute type, TV scum bastard, I'll carefully teach you. What happens when you turn me, player, into an enemy in this world, game? LVL Chapter 25. Grapple. A god, with a height a bit less than 2 meters. A huge muscular body that gives off luster even while being colored jet black. Holy. The founder of the martial art Konjeki, lit. Soul Attack, which exerts a high offensive ability against ghost type, and Iris's foster parent. Wearing a piece of loincloth on his trademark jackal head and golden rings on his limbs, and dressed in an outfit that could be said to be of a pro wrestler's. He is the lord of the netherworld, Anubis Niflheim. Normally, one wouldn't think of fighting him, as even a flick of his fingers could crush one's bones. Higaki and I are boldly challenging such an opponent. Flame Sword Blaze. Blaze, a combination technique using two people's flame sword. A special skill called Union Attack in the original work activates the flame-cladded swords of the two swordsmen. Higaki and I launch a total of 16 fire snakes, facing the approaching snakes that run rampart in the audience room. Anubis uses his limbs to hit, pierce, and crush them. A gladiator who uses his hands and feet, his elbows and knees, and on top of all that his head and his back, practically his whole body as a lethal weapon. Although he's an opponent with such a ridiculous spec that your skin would get torn just by being grazed by the wind released from his fist, Higaki and I always try keeping to be in his front and back respectively so as to surround him, cooperating and covering up for each other to repel his attacks. Konjeki Nai. Shockwaves are coming. Jump. Heikyaku. A log-like leg is thrusted into the ground, and shockwaves that spreads in all directions are released. If you fail to dodge any one of the triple shockwaves that is brought forth by the Konjeki Nai Heikyaku, you will be stunned for a short while, and will end up being rained with attacks in that opening. I jump up and kick the wall, avoiding two shockwaves. When I try to jump away from the last wave approaching, a jackal head come flying by leaping into the air. TSK. If stay on the ground and counterattack him, I will be swallowed by the shockwave, and if jump away and avoid the shockwave, I will be attacked by him. If damage is unavoidable no matter which one I choose, I have to choose one that seems to damage less, even by a bit. I promptly jump toward Anubis, throw my sword at him to earn even a little bit of time, and take an empty-handed stance. Thou intend to challenge us unarmed? Huh. As long as there's enough time, anything is possible. That ordinary-looking aerial combo, I've memorized the motion pattern released from that stance from the original VR version of Iris. In that case, if I match the speed and timing, I can guard against his attacks with perfect guard. In the original game, you fight by giving commands to the characters basically, but you can activate perfect attack or perfect guard by pressing the button according to the attack motion. When this perfect is activated, the attack power will increase when attacking, and the amount of damage received will decrease when defending. This is the reason why I memorize the various motions, and it allowed me to see the skill of a player depending on how stable they can activate perfect. Of course, in the game, it wasn't a fast-paced action battle like my current reality, so it was easy to adjust the timing, but for the sake of what I'm thinking of doing from now on, I have to at least guard against all of Anubis's reign of attacks with perfect guard, else it would be out of the question. Konjeki Gomen, a right Khmer. From right hook to backhand chop, from double kick to left straight. I know those motions. Our fists and feet hit each other with perfectly mirror copy movements. The circular sparks generated at the time of contact are proof of the activation of perfect, and although it doesn't completely nullify the damage, I've succeeded in surviving without dying. Higaki, Seiyu. After the exchanges with Anubis in the air, I land on the ground. From behind Anubis chasing me, Higaki, who is wielding two swords with the sword I threw before, rush in and attack him. The rotating slash, cladded in the flames generated by the flame sword, looks like a whirlpool of flames already, and succeeds in hitting Anubis from the side and blowing him to the wall. Higaki then moves to stand beside me while throwing me my sword, and I grab it without looking at it. Anubis, who was blown away and is kneeling, let go the defensive posture he took just before being attacked and slowly stands up. A stare down continues for a few moments, and finally, Anubis release his fighting stance first. Certainly, we have seen thou's power. Very well, let us hear thou's proposal. Ha ha. Why are you exhausted with just this much, Ao-chan? Come now. Take a deep breath. Ha. Ha. Don't call me Ao-chan in public. If you have the energy to say so, that means there is no problem, right? We fought against Anubis to get him to listen to our talk, and it seems we managed to make him recognize us. The level of the battle on and after the middle stage of the original works, 50-65, would have been hard for Higaki at the time of Academy's enrollment, level 40, but thanks to her presence, we managed to convince Anubis earlier than expected. I was rather worried that she would be knocked down halfway, but it turned out to be a needless worry. Has she perhaps become a little stronger since we came to the netherworld? Speaking of which, she went wild with me in the tower, so it's not weird if she has become a little stronger, leveled up, huh? While thinking about that, I put my common sword back into its scabbard and stretch my back. Next is to have the equipment be prepared as soon as possible, preferably, then we can get going. To that end, we need the help of Anubis, the Lord of the Netherworld. Phew, alright. I hope you can accommodate us the weapons and armors I am going to list from now on. Also, various recovery items. We will get them arranged shortly. We will also contact our brothers as soon as possible. Thanks, I mean thank you very much. After that is done, can we have a final meeting? And start moving by the end of today? That's right. Just in case, I'll hunt for books and see if Barbie's motions in the literatures matches with what I remember. If I know how he was rampaging in the past, I can guess his movements to a certain extent. They'd probably the same generally, but it'd be troublesome if he does a motion that didn't exist in the original work, like Higaki. What? I haven't forgotten about the ninth fire snake yet, Sakurai Toru. Yes, after writing out the equipment I wanted from the items obtainable in the netherworld, Anubis called my name. Although he is looking down at me due to the height difference, his appearance that gave me the feeling of him being a sublime ruler rather than a sense of intimidation made want to exclaim as expected of Anubis. Involuntarily, I correct my posture and face him. We think of her, Iris is our real daughter. We were thinking of entrusting her to the conqueror of the path of righteousness if possible, but the one who is here now is not the person of the path of righteousness, but thou. If it be so, this might also be another fate. Ha ha. We will respect Iris's will, whether thou art destined to conquer evil or age like a snake. Be that as it may, if thou ever burn her with that heat of thine, thou will have the same doom as Barbie. Do not forget that, even a little bit. For some reason, I was lightly dissed even while being warned not to make Iris-san cry. I nod obediently. Wati, no matter what, my humanity wouldn't be lower than that of Barbie Knifelime, so it's a no problem, no problem. That said, I want this and that, but can I count on you, Lord Anubis? Very well. Rest thy body and wait. God is really a god. Having said that, Anubis leaves the audience room that is clear of people. Then I see him giving instruction to his subordinate waiting beyond the door. The appearance of me and Higaki that were left just like that are contrasting. While I begin to practice swinging energetically, she is sitting with her hands on the floor, propping her body up. Hey, where in the world does your stamina come from? This is the netherworld. The main point is your frame of mind. Meaning, unlike in the real world, we are currently existing only as souls. Although we transformed into the shape of our body in the real world carved in our souls, actually, we don't need food or sleep. Is that so? Except those who originally belonged to the netherworld, like Iris and Anubis, everyone is like that. And you see, the fuel that moves the soul is willpower, so as long as it overflows, there'd be no problem. It seems the reason why there are inns, restaurants, and entertainment facilities in the netherworld despite that is to improve and restore that willpower. That setting was talked about in a fan book or something, so I remembered it a little, but the fact that I can move without feeling tired now means that must be the truth. Really, it sure is the best environment where I can reduce my meal time and sleep time to 0. If this is a place where I can get many star seed, I might have been immersed in it for a while, putting the revival aside. In other words, you are not tired because you are full of willpower. That's right. I'm still worried about Iris-san, so it can't be helped, but how can you? How should I put it? Seems to be enjoying it. How? You do know the thing that can make me do my best, right? In response to Higaki's question, I stop my practice swinging and answer with a big smile the answer that is already becoming synonymous with me. The thing I attach great importance to and motivated me the most. There is only one such thing. And that is, because it seems that I'll be able to train, leveling, plentifully in this battle. Hearing my answer, Higaki sighs while shaking her head. LVL Chapter 26. Special thanks to Zanoff Bane for becoming my patron. The heat-abusing king and the laughing idiot. I feel like I forgot something important. I will try to pick up what are left in me one by one. I feel like I have a father and a mother in my family. I don't have siblings. My father's name is Barbie Knifeline. I don't know my mother. I feel like I have some friends, but I can't remember who are they. Lover, acquaintance, colleague, superior. Even though I feel like someone, he, was there, I can't remember. Was I such a solitary person, I wonder? I don't know. I can't remember. My heart is lonely and cold. Cold. Something like heat is drawn out from all parts of my body. My fingertips can no longer move as though they are frozen. I have said a little more, just a little more, have I not? Unnecessary. Why are there so much waste here? Do you really need that many things to remember? Even though your everything is mine, why do you remember unnecessary things without permission? I am sorry, Father. There is another person beside me in this cold place. It's Father who gives off heat through his eyes. Without him, I would have been frozen. Even in the next moment, I might turn motionless. I must be grateful to him. I must serve him. Otherwise, he won't give heat to me. That's right. That's how it should be. Before I put it into words, you should understand my intention and serve me. Before I act, you should get everything ready, and do nothing but what I instructed you to do. You can do at least that much, right? You must be able to do them. Because you are my daughter, because you are my closest family. Daughter, understand? A heat so fierce to the point of being painful, is inserted and going through all over my body. Receiving that heat so hot that my body feels like it's burning, I manage to move my limbs. After becoming able to move, a fear of loss boils up in me this time. The coldness that bit by bit freezes me from my fingertips to my heart. The fear that the coldness will inevitably takes away something that is warming me up inside me climbs up to my throat. I hate it. I hate the chill. I hate the cold. I hate being frozen. Stood. Oi, what's with that pause? What were you thinking in pause? Answer me, Iris. Are you dissatisfied at this me? Answer me, Iris. I don't dare. In that case, Why can you deny it so fluently? You must not hide anything from me. You hear me? Your awareness of who have let you to be alive is lacking. Do you feel no gratitude to your father, Iris? I continue to apologize to my father who is bellowing and hitting me. Continuing to apologize, I avoid father's question. I didn't even know why I did that. Just that. There must be something. That something that I can't remember is something that I can't help but to really desired. I'm sure it must be different from father's heat, something that warms one up to the core. I'm sorry. Did something you have to apologize for come to your mind, Iris? Did your denial a while ago was a lie? Did you lie to me? Did you lie to your family, father, Iris? It's cold, it hurts, it's chilly, it hurts. San. Someone. Anyone is fine, please warms me up. Flame sword blaze, double-headed fire snake. The ice space is surrounded by flames. A double-headed snake made of flames separates me from my father and curls as if to protect me. Meanwhile, a girl rushed towards me inside it. Iris-san, are you okay? Who? NG damn it. I will save you now, so please stay still. She swings the sword in her hand, cutting off the chains that bound my hands, put a cloth in my mouth and pulls out the spear in my stomach in an instant. She sprinkles a green miracle drug on me who is moaning in agony, and my wounds begin to close visibly. What are you intending to do with my ears? Sakurai. Along with a roar, the flame surrounding us is split apart and father brandish his battle axe. The moment he swings down toward the girl holding me, a boy forces his way through from the side. Flame sword, Tukawatashi. He swings the sword in his hand as though to scoop up the surrounding flames. The flames that clad him burst, and the sword he swings accelerates abruptly. The boy strikes the side of the approaching battle axe with his flame-cladded sword, deviating it, jumps into the air as though using the impact from the battle axe striking the ground as a spring, and kicks my father on the side of his face flying. What about her injuries? It will take dozens of seconds more to heal. Okay. As soon as they healed, escape with haste. I can't fight for a long time while protecting people. The boy who put his flame-cladded sword on his shoulder while focusing on my father who he kicked flying. The girl who is treating me as though to speed up my injuries closing even a little bit faster while holding me as if to protect me. The heat they emitted is strong and warm. The wall of flame that wraps around me as if to protect me from father's heat while having a fierceness close to that of my father's. In particular, the heat that the boy released spreads widely and firmly as though dividing the inside of the room into two with my father. What? Who are you? You are not Nubis, you are merely a lowly human. Why are you here? Why do you get in my way? Who gave you the permission to touch my ears? What? Your shrieking makes your voice crack and your words unclear. Rather, I know what kind of person you are from the original work. But you sure are quite unpleasant to see in reality. Don't make a voice, don't chirp. My head hurts. It's your fault. For an insect like human to appear in my sight and does something that doesn't meet my intentions. I didn't order you to do such a thing. Did I? Why did you do such a selfish thing? Don't bother me. Crap, this guy's real voice is more unpleasant than I imagined. But for some reason, it's pleasant to hear. Oops. The 10 meters distance is close to zero in an instant by father. His speed creates an after-image. That after-image is readying its battle axe in a mowing manner, following after father who holds his battle axe aloft. For whatever reason, it takes an independent move and attacks the boy as if pincer attack him. In response, the boy skillfully manipulates the roundness of the shield attached to his left hand, deflecting the trajectory of the swung-down battle axe diagonally, and then continue with striking the other approaching battle axe with his shield as though stitching up the gap created. He slashes father with one-handed sword in his right hand. You dare to wound my majestic body. Bastard, are you not afraid of me? Even though you have attacked me, the supreme god, do you not have a sense of guilt? It will automatically regenerate anyway. Stop yelling. Rather, doesn't your throat hurt yelling like that? Or are you actually a professional opera singer? Are you intending to ridicule me? Human, are you out of vocabulary to disparage me? If it's only at the level of repeating idiot, idiot, even a brat can do it though. The boy continues to draw father's attention with frivolous talk as he repels father's fierce attacks that is swung in anger. As if I am an outsider, I thought that the circular spark that popped up every time the weapon and armor collide is beautiful. Alright, you should be able to move now. Iris-san, let's go. You. Why? Where to? Iris-san's place isn't under such a foolish man. You don't know anything now, so it can't be helped. But first of all, let's get you to a place out of that man's rear. Where are you going? Erase. To a place infinitely far away from you, Mr. Dad. The boy rushes on father, who is chasing after us. The girl winds up my arm around her neck and walks while supporting me, who have unsteady gait. Two heats clash the moment I turn my back, and the heat of the girl next to me is transmitted to me. Two heat trying to protect me from the heat father emitted. I should have known it, but I feel a mysterious sensation at the unknown freshness. I feel an uplifting feeling as though I am delighted with the growth of something. I'm sure these two knew me and came for my sake. That's precisely why the fact that I can't remember anything vexed me, and makes me feel sorry. Perhaps realizing my inner feelings, the girl gently talks to encourage me. It's okay, Iris-san. We will definitely do something about your memories and the curse that was applied to your recognition. Why are you going that far? You saved us when we were about to go on the wrong path. That's why we also came to save Iris-san. Now then, we're almost at the exit. Just before I step on the shining transition gate, I turn back my face slightly. There I see father, who is reaching out his hand this way even while throwing his obstacle to the ground, and the bloody boy who falls but rises back up and runs toward father and hit him with the edge of his shield. Even though he is swung away due to the difference in physical strength, he stands still to block the transition gate from father. Perhaps he notices my gaze, as he raises his thumb without looking back as if to cheer me up. Shrouded in light, the girl and I head for the other side of the transition gate. During that time, I feel that the heat the boy emitted changed in quality. It should have been a heat that I had just learned very recently, but I missed it very much. I'm sure that at this moment he is making a happy smile so wide as though he pasted the crescent moon on his mouth, so I thought for some reason. Good grief. What a big fool, aren't you? Although I shouldn't remember anything, such words naturally leak out of my mouth. At the next moment, my sight changes to the other side of the gate. There are some people there other than the girl. Without being able to tell who is who, strength seeps out from all over my body and I end up falling forward. The one who catch and hug me is the black and well-built apostrophe, who is almost twice as tall as I am. I'm gently and powerfully hugged in his steel-like chest. I quietly let go of my consciousness while feeling the heat of apostrophe. LVL Chapter 27. The escape command is unimplemented. Iris. Here he is. Why don't you resist? You, how dare you? What did you guys do to my daughter? What kind of curse did you put on her? Unforgivable, 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 unforgivable. The transition gate that I have them made for the infiltration disappeared, leaving Barbie, Knife, Lime and I alone at the center of the tower. Barbie is standing at the location of the disappeared transition gate, repeatedly making and erasing magic circles as if searching for something. On the other hand, while leaning my body against the wall at the place I was blown away to, I ingest green elixir dash, which has the effect of recovering HP and increasing defensive power, and then ready my stance. The coldness of the wall permeates my hot body. It's useless TV bastard. By this time, Anubis and all his priests should have erected a barrier on this place. You who just revived and have inferior strength compared to your heyday can't chase Iris nor escape from here, you know. Perhaps those words remind him of my existence, as Barbie turns his head around with his bloodshot eyes wide open. His gaze is overflowing with killing intent that go beyond the limit of anger, and uncontrollable fury makes his body trembling. That is absurd. There is nothing I can't do. Iris too must be waiting for me. Soon, she will betray them and come back under me. Still saying that even though it has come to this, you are one pathetic guy, aren't you? It makes me wonder in what screwed way you grew up that made your humanity so low. No, Since he was already killed once, it's as if his personality has been ingrained since he was born. If his humanity likened to Mariana Trench, it seems this guy would likely take tens of thousands of years to emerge from that to be an honest man, isn't he? In any case, for the time being, I feel deeply relieved that we succeeded in the first stage of the operation, which is the rescue of Iris-san. Honestly, I really want to escape from here, but if left alone, this guy will definitely continue to aim for Iris-san. It'd also be troublesome to go and rescue her each time, so I have to give him requiem here once and for all. Now then, whether or not I can defeat him is uncertain. In the original work, although he was just a punching bag, he was able to turn the table on Anubis once. In the original work, there was an event in which Anubis went alone to save Iris when Barbie escaped to the tower. In the aftermath, the tower collapsed, and having barely escaped alive, he entrusted Iris to the protagonist who was there. So was the course of the events one. According to fans who have a hobby of data analysis, Anubis is an object that does not have battle data, and his defeat is only described as such for the convenience of the event. However, it is guaranteed that in the original works setting that Barbie Knifelime has the ability to turn the table on Anubis. Therefore, recalling the strength of Anubis who I fought a few hours ago, I honestly feel uneasy about fighting him solo. However, fortunately, I only saw the same combination of attack motions as in the game era after the brief exchanges earlier. In that case, putting aside whether I can win or not, it'll at least be easier to activate Perfect against him than Anubis. In other words, though it's uncertain whether I can win, I definitely won't lose. Barbie Knifelime slams his battle axe on the floor over and over again. His behavior, which seems to appeal that he is angry, is just like a brat stomping his feet in anger, so I unintentionally laugh. If it's your wish for me to wash out your mistakes and crimes with my hands, then so be it. I will teach you of your sins by finally cutting your body to tens of thousands of pieces, from the tips of your finger to every inch of your flesh. Try it if you can. In exchange, I'll use you to raise my skills level. I'll play until I'm satisfied, so come here, you sandbag lowlife. Stop looking down on me, you bastard. Along with his roar, an ice armor clads his body, and even his battle axe becomes a gigantic weapon due to the power of ice. I stare at the approaching Barbie while lowering my back, and open my eyes wide so as not to overlook any of his move. From here onward is the once-in-a-lifetime leveling stage prepared only for me. It'll be an endless hell for you who just keeps using all kinds of skills and keeps defending with all kinds of skills. Whether until one of us die, or until the last measure bears fruit, or perhaps until the end of the world. It's time for hands-on leveling with the boss. Even if an extremely great number of it will lose, I'll have you accompany me until I'm satisfied. Non-ze-e-e-e-e-e-eens. The curtain of the no time limit bonus stage only for me opens. Now, it's time to raise my skills levels. 1. This contradicts the lines in Chapter 24, in which Barbie assassinated Anubis by making use of Iris, so I assumed that there are different routes to the event. LVL Chapter 28. The fight that cannot be lost. Barbie Knifelime, contrary to his violent motions, has a fighting style that makes heavy use of abnormal status. There are 3 types of abnormal status that he uses: their curse, oblivion, and panic. By bestowing them to his attacks and skills, overlapping them, he restricts the opponent's action, and bring them down with high attack power from his battle axe. Depending on whether or not one can deal with these abnormal statuses, the difficulty level of his capture will change greatly. Along with a scream, Barbie slams his battle axe at his feet, and along with a shockwave from it, purple smoke spreads to the surroundings. This smoke has the effect of inflicting the abnormal status curse, and curse has the effect of whittling one's HP every turn. Unlike poison, its slip damage is low, but it disables the natural recovery that activates at every turn, and it can be stacked up to 5 times, so if you take it lightly, it is guaranteed that you'll face painful experience. Of course, I've already prepared the countermeasures in advance. Before the approaching smoke, I ready the paladin's round shield equipped in my left hand and go forward. I jump and, riding on the momentum, tackle Barbie, who is brandishing his battle axe for a follow-up attack, breaking his posture. The likes of you mere human oops. In response, Barbie swings his battle axe in his broken stance. The attack can't be said to be very powerful, but if I get hit directly, with the weight of the battle axe combined with his natural superhuman strength, I will get considerable damage. Having the initiative of the battle taken, I calmly take a distance with a backstep and reposition my shield. Alright, the paladin's round shield is working well. With this, curse is no longer a problem. Curse doesn't dispel naturally, but instead, there are more items and equipment that can deal with it than poison. The paladin's round shield that I'm equipped with is one of them. Paladin's round shield is an armor with the curse nullification ability that can usually be obtained by defeating zombie knight type enemies. There are many places where zombie knights appear in early dungeons and quests, so even if you obtain it, its defensive power can't match up with the attack power of the enemies in the mid-stage. To begin with, there aren't many enemies who uses curse in the whole game, so there's no reason to keep it as there's no particular scenario in which you need to use it. In a sense, it's a bad shield. But when it comes to solo capturing this guy, I need to take countermeasures against curse. In order to reduce the factors that can worsen my condition even by a little, I have to have nullify instead of resistance. For example, among the curse resistance equipment that comes to my mind, the one with the highest amplification is a necklace with curse resistance 80%. In addition to curse resistance, this necklace has stat corrections and some additional special effects, so it is far more useful than the paladin's round shield as an item. But for gamers, 80% resistance is almost synonymous with it not working about once every 2 times. It is no exaggeration to say that it lacks credibility. If it's the original protagonist, he can nullify it with the effect of special event buff Anubis's blessing, which gives 50% curse resistance, and be equipped with appropriate accessories. But this time, we can't let Barbie escape from this place, so I can't have him put resources into another action, thus I didn't get that buff. Therefore, I first chose Paladin's round shield as a countermeasure against curse. This is because it is easier and the more stable to cope with the battle with a certain nullify than with the unstable resistance n%. In addition, there's so many dead paladins, to the point of being sickening, in the netherworld. If you just take your time to beat some, there will definitely one that will give it to you. I wonder why there are so many dead paladins, so strange. So, if he fires a curse attack, I'll have a chance to act freely. I can attack, or I can use items. Bastard, don't move. No, thank you. This time, he slams the battle axe on the ground, and with its recoil, he closes the distance and reach out to me. His hand is wrapped in a red aura that clearly looks to be dangerous if touched, and of course if I get caught, I will get damage and the abnormal status oblivion. Nonetheless, his movement is monotonous and easy to avoid. Instead, if I get caught, my head would be slammed to the ground and get dragged around as his dash. Won't my face be a mess? Thereupon I would be seriously dying. When you get abnormal status oblivion, most active skills will be unusable for 3 turns. The main point is I won't be able to use active skills such as Flame Sword, because this world is not a turn-based system. I confirmed it with Anubis in advance, and it turned out that the effect duration is 30 seconds. In other words, 1 turn is 10 seconds. During that time, I will not be able to use the technique of intercepting and offsetting the opponent's attack with a skill like I did against Higarki, so adding the damage I received by the grab attack, I will be on the verge of death in an instant. In that case, there is the option of taking a distance and regain my footing, or to depend on the accumulation of the opponent's flinch value and counterattack with a normal attack, which I prefer more. It's a hassle to decide which though, so I'd rather to grumble before me. Die, face your death. This guy, every time he attacks, he would spit out a low-level curse line, so noisy. While thinking about such things, I parry the battle axe's continuous attack with my shield and sword. Basically, his default attack to hit once or twice together with his own afterimage, but if you know the trajectory of the first hit, You can predict what the second hit will be. If he brandishes his battle axe, his afterimage will swing from the side. At that time, if he's holding the handle with one hand, he will swing from the right, and if he's holding it with both hands, he will swing from the left. So depending on the way you parry it, you can use the opponent's attack to overcome the second hit. If he takes a sideways swing, the second hit will come from the opposite direction to the first hit, and immediately after you avoid the pincer attack, a thrown battle axe will approach you from directly opposite to you, and if you manage to avoid it, Barbie will suddenly appear behind you with the battle axe that you should have avoided and strike you with it. Don't mess with me. In response to his scream, a giant Azura with 6 arms appears behind him. In each of its hand is the same battle axe as Barbie. When I think will it slams all of them on the floor at the same time. It twists its body and mows down the entire room. It's approaching while politely cutting everything, from the ceiling to the floor. It was a great skill that hits all target in the original work. I immediately shoot a fire snake with a scooping up motion, making it slithering an inch above the floor to raise the battle axe, though a little. Then I run with all my might toward it and slid down through it. The battle axe that hit the floor behind me destroys the ground and pierces through it as is, so the rubbles that flies at that time hit my body like sprays. In addition, the wind pressure generated by its blade becomes wind blades and cut my body. Once everything settled, my whole body is covered with blood. Even so, there is no way to overcome this attack other than this method, so not dying is already fortunate. After using the great skill, Azura disappears. However, just before it disappears, it shoots a glare at me, and exposed to its sight, I drop the item I tried to use to recover on the spot. Shit. Azura's glares that always activate after it uses a great skill. When exposed its sight, you will get abnormal status panic. Panic is an abnormal status that makes it impossible for you to use items for 2 turns. Normally, it is not much of a threat, but Barbie will immediately do a follow-up attack after the unavoidable great skill, so no matter how big the upper hand I've gotten, I will be pushed into disadvantageous position in an instant. Fortunately, he couldn't use that great skill consecutively, so it's a relief, but I have to tide over 20 seconds with my HP in precarious condition. If I get oblivion on top of it here, all I can do left is to pray for luck. This is a totally bad situation. Moreover, panic. I have no equipment to counter it, so I have no choice but to weather through it with fighting spirit. Rigged. Damn it. Do your best, don't lose, raise your level so you don't die. Don't bewilder me with your nonsensical words. Don't confuse me. Don't irritate me. The likes of you cockroach-like human air. I grit my teeth tightly to endure fear, and look ahead at the experience point log reflected in my vision to support my heart. Ugh, shit, it's scary. I hate this. I want to run away. I want to scream so much that I shivers. Even so, I won't back away. I refuse to retreat. I will either hold on until help comes, or level up and preserve my soul. Be brave. I'm about to level up. The Sojourn, lit. Fidelity Shield. Skill will soon be available for derivation. Alright. I'll react. I'm back in shape. Let's play more. Papaya. I'm not your father. Stop it. You give me goosebumps. This is my style. Curse return. While saying something stupid to calm myself even a little bit, I continue the fight. Higaki who wants to help Iris. Iris who wants to be helped by someone. I who want to raise my level. This strategy in which everything is compatible in order to draw my motivation, to raise my motivation. The one who is responsible for it is of course the planner, which is this me. Then, until that moment when I or this guy disappears, I have no other choice but to laugh loudly and keep fighting. LVL Chapter 29. Huge thanks Jacob Pellers for the pledge. Those who think, those who are aware. You are here again, Iris-san. Ah, Higaki-san. Are you okay? To be here in such an unpopular balcony? You don't have to worry so much. I am okay. Higaki-san gazes at me with worried eyes. I tell her that she doesn't have to worry about me with a smile. This is the balcony of Knifeline. From this place covered with crystal-like fences, I can see all of the netherworld. Of course, The tower is also included, and I keep on watching it. Besides, I want to stay here and watch the tower. 5 days have passed since I was rescued from the tower. Father's Barbie knife lime's curse was successfully dispelled at the hand of Anubis Sama's friend Thoth Sama. However, my lost memories were not restored. The memories that I have collected until will only remain as fragments. Even so, the nightmarish days when even though there were people around me, I couldn't tell who was who, I couldn't remember anything, had come to an end. However, even though it is no exaggeration to say that I am already blessed just to be rescued from that insane blood relative of mine, I still feel cold at the bottom of my heart. To try to get rid of that cold, even by little, I start looking up at the tower on this balcony whenever I am free. The tower is now completely blockaded. Every day many people continue to create barriers to prevent the people inside from getting out. There are only 2 people inside. The tower reflected in my view is all wrapped in flames from bottom to top because of the heat emitted by only those 2 people. The 2 types of heat are rampaging and eating each other. They sway ferociously and violently, and each time they collide, they explode and scatter in all directions. Yet, flames stronger than before would born from the embers. The heat that is already beyond the realm of my comprehension even reaches this balcony, which is very far, and heats up my body. Is that guy still fighting? Yes. Sakurai-san's heat has not disappeared yet. In terms of heat, his is as fierce as that of father's. To hold on for this long, I can only take off my hat to him. Higaki-san mutters with a bitter face as though she doesn't want to admit it. Her face is kind of funny that I end up smiling. Sakurai-san. Sakurai Toru-san, a boy from the real world who came to the nether world together with Higaki-san. A boy who only interested in training to improve himself, solely devoting his all to improve himself. However, his heat in regard to training is well beyond ordinary people, and now, the ability he refined with that heat is already advanced enough to rival or surpass a pillar god, who once a tyrant, in a battle. I have no memories related to him, I only have a vague recollection on what his face looks like. Higaki-san said, he is a hopeless bastard who takes delight in only training himself. However, she fell silent after she pointed out the part of him making up a plan to save me. It is true that his heat is extreme, which essentially the same as that of my father's selfishness. But I know that is not all there is to his heat. Higaki-san who was trying to save me, I who was pleading for help. He collected everything with his hands and carried them inside him. And he continues to fight alone in the tower. Even now, he has a heart to think of someone in his own way, and as long as he has that, father will not be able to eat up his heat. Being able to feel like that about him despite not remembering anything about him, it's hard for me to understand such a mysterious feeling. Where is Anubis Sama now? He gathered as many people as possible and went to a place called Hell. Is that so? I wish I could do something too. Then, please continue watching Sakurai, because now only Ira-san can tell whether he's still alive or not. Higaki-san murmurs so and put her elbows on the balcony. Her countenance and voice clearly show her dissatisfaction. The part of her acknowledging something that has to be acknowledged gives me a glimpse of her integrity. I couldn't think of doing such a thing. If it was me, I would already be killed in less than a day. However, that guy is still fighting alone even now. He's my senior apprentice brother even though he's younger than me, and a really irritating guy at that. Even so, if no one thinks of him, this whole world is too heartless, right? Don't you think of Sakurai-san, Higaki-san? Please don't say such a stupid thing. I've decided that one day I'll definitely kill, probably from the back. For now, I'll just chase him to the point where my blade can reach him. That means you think of him though. Do you mean it's something like, the one who will kill you is me, so I won't forgive you if you die in a place like this? That sounds like something that comes from a tale, isn't it? But that's not the case, you know. Although she said so, her gaze staring straight at the tower is mixed with hesitation, unrest, and worry. So, this is what people said, that eyes say more about someone than the mouth. Her eyes tell me how Higaki-san perceives Sakurai-san. I look at the tower. The battle has become fiercer, and its end is not in sight. It's like a severe poison that will last forever as long as it is not touched. If we only care about our own well-being, We just have to leave it as is. However, Higaki-san, Anubis-sama, and I have not fallen to the point where we take that as an option. Everyone is determined to continue doing what they can for the sake of the last move that he had come up with. So, Sakurai-san, please wait just a little longer. We will definitely come and pick you up. I say, praying. I hope that prayer will become his strength, even by little. That is the greatest support I could provide now. LVL Chapter 30. Checkmate. How long have I been fighting? I've lost my sense of time. There is naturally nothing that can measure time inside the tower, and there is no such an advanced thing such as a wristwatch in this world. I continued fighting without having the means nor leisure to check the time, and now my consciousness already become hazy. You, what are you? What the heck are you, you bastard? Boo, gaewik. Even the words I said in tiredness ended up turning into gibberish. Even so, Barbie's boiling point is too low, so it still worked as a provocation. I got to know this as the fight continued, but as expected, capturing this guy solo is impossible. I lacked firepower, and even if I injure him, Barbie's automatic recovery, regen, ability would just cancel out the damage. The only thing that can give him solid damage is the fake sword Saint's Slash, but it requires a small amount of reservoir to use it, so I can't use it continuously. And if I don't shower him with it, the damage will just be recovered by the time I use it next time. Even after slash, he didn't die. If I have to say what is the thing I enjoyed from the fight, it is that I could raise my skill level. Thanks to it, I have acquired 3 types of abnormal status resistance, and each skill level is at max. As for panic resistance, it has evolved into a skill beyond it. Person who is excited in fear. Probably because I overcame it with fighting spirit. I'd rather get a skill that increase attack power in panicked state rather than such a degenerate skill though. Don't wanna. I avoid Barbie's battle axe and kick his face away. I open up a distance while giving Barbie, who swings his battle axe while having his face thrown back, a sidelong glance, and adjust my breathing. I restore my physical strength, though small, with the power of Kaigong, small, that I acquired during the battle. I have already run out of recovery items I carried in before the battle, so recovering in such brief moments is important. Enough. I've been playing along with this entire time, but I'm already getting sick with you as the opponent. How long are we going to fight? How far are we going to fight? I'm fed up with playing along with you. Barbie shouts, and Azuro appears behind him. However, that Azuro has only one battle axe in his 6 arms. That appearance is something I don't remember seeing in the game. Seriously, it seems to be a new emotion that didn't exist in the game. I want to shout out loud, why did you take out something like that now after such a long time? But I don't even have the capacity to shout, so I can only ready up my shield reluctantly. Be honored, you human. This is my true power as a god. Bow down to my divine power. I focus on ahead and observe him carefully so as not to overlook any of his movement. I exhale to improve my concentration and calm myself down even a little bit. My left hand holding the shield is cut off. NGH. Soon after feeling the pain from being cut, an impact hit my body. Even while rolling on the ground, I raise my gaze. There I see the figure of Azura planting 4 of its arms on the ground as though to support its body, with its remaining arms holding the battle axe, which size is almost as big as its body, appearing as though having just finished swinging it. Phew, my power has not fully returned yet. It seems that the aim was a little off because I wielded it without enough power. Damn it, I am getting stronger every time night passed. 7 nights has passed since my plan was fulfilled and I revived with the power of Aris's magic eyes. My strength is still far from my heyday, but more than enough to kill you. I raise my body up with my remaining one hand and lean my back against the wall. I no longer have spare energy to stand up due to fatigue and injuries. If I have to point out the silver lining here, it's that my current body is not of blood and flesh, but of soul that has changed shape into my body. So even if my left arm is cut off, I won't die from shock or bleeding. In short, I can fight until the last moment as long as I hold on to my consciousness. But putting it in another way, My soul corresponding to my left arm was cut off. At the end of the day, I feel like it's more problematic than the normal arm being cut off. Not good. My head becomes absent-minded and can't think straight. Since 7 nights have passed, that means this is the 8th day. Huh? To continue to fight in that whole time, I think I've done my best shockingly, even if I say so myself. You were fairly useful as an opponent for me to familiarize myself with my freshly revived body. You deserve death for getting in my way, but I'll admit that you have a merit in that respect. Surprisingly, you are quite shameless, aren't you? Do you have anything left to say? Anything left to say, is it? It sure is already time to end this. Feeling that way, I think about what to do with the last words, and realize that it is useless to think deeply, so I decide to say what I thought. In order not to leave any regrets, I let out a sneer, one of completely ridiculing the unsalvageable foolish scum bastard before my eyes, and say bluntly, "Dumbass." Die in regrets. The world loses its color and my view became slow. The battle axe I swung down cuts through the air and spreads shockwave, slowly approaching me while destroying the room. In such a world, I remember the many skills that I have acquired until now. If it is the revolving lantern, I better fill my view with a revolving list of skills with all my might. I have each skill arranged in space as shining stars, just like in planetarium. The series of branched-out derivative skills groups that grew from one skill are connected from dot to dot as though drawing a constellation. Watching them, I end up being fascinated for a long time to the point I couldn't believe that I'm only a few moments away from death. The life level up I have tread on is not wrong. These stars, skills, are the proof. I'm convinced of that fact and slowly close my eyelids. LVL Chapter 31 Retribution. My consciousness returns at that scream. The world regains its color and the time begins to tick normally. When I open my eyelids that I closed in preparation for death, I see the back of a black shining giant, Anubis. Sakurai Toru, you have fought well. The time has come to reward your dedication. Anubis says so, and shakes off the remains of the battle axe that he intercepted with his bare hands. Seeing that, Barbie starts screaming as though he is flustered. Why do you always get in my way? Why do you get in the way of my enjoyment? Barbie Knifeline, my older brother. It is you, yourself, that has spun karma that warrants retribution. Karma, you say? Stop saying stupid things. What did I do to you bastards? Rather, aren't you all the ones who always torment me? You bastards spited me and cursed me as atrocious just because I killed our parents who didn't understand me. On top of all that, you all snatched away my daughter from my hands. Aren't you bastards the real sinful and evil brutes? Barbie Knifelime screams, plucking his hair with both hands. Simply because he can't put up with it and snaps, he stomps and destroys the floor with his feet, losing his temper just like a kid throwing a tantrum. Perhaps he has already gone beyond disgusted at that very pathetic figure. Anubis declares the end of Barbie in completely cold voice. You are already beyond saving. Today, in this place, let us settle your karma and put an end to the atrocity that is you. Put an end? Put an end, you say? You, my younger brother, will put an end to me, your older brother, you say? Stop talking nonsense, Anubis. You have no such power. To point your blade to your older brother and the likes is unforgivable. What do you think you who is inferior to me in all aspects can do? We know that full well. Therefore, we have requested assistance before coming here. At the next moment, transition gates open one after another in the room. While Barbie is stunned, 4 people appear from the gate. The white aura cladding them is radiating God's majesty. They are an alliance, party, of gods who gathered in response to Anubis's call to destroy Barbie. Wow, a human really forced Barbie to stay by himself? He is giving me the shivers. Isn't he a dangerous guy? With a swept back hair and a monocle on his deep red face. A man with a 7-colored book floating at his back is shocked seeing me. He is Anubis's friend, a magic god and wise man with no equal in the netherworld. Oath, hooray! To have the opportunity to defeat the unforgivable fiend Barbie twice. "O human, I thank you for your service of justice." A girl with an ostrich hair clip tying up her blonde hair that shines radiantly and is equipped with a total of 6 long swords, with 2 on her back, 2 on her waist, and 2 in her hands. "Thank me." She is the goddess Maat who presides over the Order of Death, holding the swords that once defeated Barbie who was scattering chaos. "My child, my sin. If you say that you cannot wash your blood-stained hands yourself, your mother, I, will purify them with your life. That way, some people should feel gratified." A dark-skinned woman in a gorgeous dress that combines countless beads and jewels wearing a crown resembling a throne on her head looks at Barbie and calmly tell him so. She is the mother goddess Nephthys who stepped into hell on her own accord due to the sin of having given birth to Barbie. "It seems like the time has come to return the 100 curses you carved on my body." A mummy-like man wearing a white crown, with his whole body wrapped in bandages up to his face, thrust a twisting cane before Barbie and give him sentence. He is the former god and king of Netherworld, Osiris, whose soul was divided into 100 parts and sealed in the world of infinitude. "Impossible, impossible, impossible, impossible. Why are you bastards all in this place?" The 5 pillar gods, including Anubis, that symbolize the after-death world in the present time and in the past, surround Barbie Knifelime and are holding up their weapon as if to not let him make any move. On Barbie's back, the ghosts of the powerless and innocents he oppressed form a flock, praying for the victory of the gods. Even though they know they are powerless, they continue to offer up their power that is equal to dirt to the 5 pillar gods to punish the person they cannot forgive. "What the hell are you doing here? Why are you pointing your weapon at me?" "Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. My head hurts." "Don't displease me. Do something I can understand. Move with my circumstances in your mind." "The world should be like that, right?" Grasping the meaning of the gazes directed at him, he is unable to understand them from the bottom of his heart. And above all, he truly doesn't understand why he is put in a plight where he is seen with such eyes. That is the kind of god Barbie Knifelime is. Seeing his extremely unsightly state even makes me forget the pain of my cut-off arm. The winning move that I thought up as a countermeasure against Barbie is relying upon others for attaining one's own objective. I'm glad I was able to summon my motivation by forcibly casting the factor 1-on-1 leveling with a boss while arming myself with theoretical backing somehow. However, although I was prepared to continue fighting for eternity, I was afraid that my energy and concentration would probably run out in the end. If that fear come true, Barbie who overcame the barrier, namely me, would start moving again, ending up right back where he started. That's why I said to God Anubis, "I will buy you time in the meantime, so gather as many allies as you can and replay the past subjugation play." From the beginning, I knew from the content of the original story that Barbie Knifelime revived in a condition far from his heyday. That was why I suggested to Anubis that now, and this time, is the chance to completely destroy him. And with not only words but also fists, I succeeded in getting Anubis to agree to it. I had Anubis gather as many members as possible to subjugate Barbie using the time created while I rescued Iris together with Higaki and continued fighting against Barbie in order to raise my levels, increasing battle force by relying on the connection of the god and forming a capture party composed of gods which was impossible in the game era. This is the full picture of the strategy I set up. It was the strategy I came up with because we were up against an extremely selfish shitty bastard who had incurred countless people's resentment and had repeated so many atrocities, so I thought there would be people flocking in from every direction to be our allies. It's great that all went well in the end. I've been unfortunate since I entered the academy. Is fortune finally inclining toward me, I wonder? In the tense situation, I sigh as though I am the only one unrelated. Then, mustering my last strength, I stand up with my sword as a support and line up next to Anubis. "You bastard. You. The likes of a mere human dares." Why is a mere human standing next to Anubis, next to a god? That act contradicts reason. Shouldn't gods always stand up above and humans kneel down below? I see, you are the one who makes the world goes out of order. You make the world where Anubis and Iris should follow my will goes out of order. You. What the hell are you? He releases his anger and curses at me. I laugh at the words directed to me, and decide to answer his question so that he can die in peace. I'm not a person whose identity worth to be asked, you know. I just have a little bit higher humanity than you. At the end of those words, Barbie's reason finally snapped. Barbie, who went crazy with his eyes bloodshot in anger, collides with the gods who gathered to destroy him. Flash, impact, sword, fist, black magic, curse. The battlefield where all of them jumbled together one after another in every second. It is a gorgeous raid battle that didn't exist in the original game. Haha. Good, good. It looks fun, isn't it? The climax is in the second round. Having those words crossed my mind, my heart throbs in excitement and expectation of how far the things I accumulated would work. What is a gamer would be if they don't participate in this battle, in this spectacle? The things that need to be done has been done. If the rest is only to watch the conclusion, it won't hurt to enjoy myself until the very end, right? I raise the corner of my mouth and break into the run with my sword in hand, forgetting all about fatigue, pain, and even my lost arm. Neither a hero nor a brave. Anyone who see my back would probably describe me as an idiot doing something unnecessary. But that's fine. No matter what they say, I will run forward, prioritizing the throbbing of my chest, slipping through the flash and jumping over the impact, using the sword as a decoy and the fist as a foothold, hiding behind the shadows of the black magic and the curse and leaping in. What is visible in front of me is the boss head. I'll have your head, you shitty bastard, exp. In front of the rampaging evil king of the night sky, Barbie Knifelime, I unleash my skill with a sunny smile. The fake sword saint's slash that I released slashes his body, collapsing his posture, and then the powers of the gods strike him in rapid succession. LVL Chapter 32. Huge thanks to Jed Emery for becoming my patron. Aftercare. Afterward, or rather at a later date, Barbie Knifelime, who was inferior to his heyday, couldn't beat the dream team of the gods, which was impossible to form in the original work, and was subjugated within less than 10 minutes after the battle began. He didn't admit his faults until the very end, and literally disappeared while spitting out curses. This put an end to the long-standing problem of the evil king of the night sky, and perhaps due to my thread of tension was cut, I lost consciousness on the spot and had to spend a week on the bed until I woke up. The gods did the cleanup in the meantime, and as a reward for the meritorious deed of rescuing Iris and subjugating Barbie, Higarki and I were promised revival to the real world. Furthermore, as an additional reward for me, I was going to be granted with anything I want. A truly generous extra reward, but honestly, nothing came to my mind, so I had it put on hold for the moment. By the way, my left arm that was cut off was reattached somehow. It seems that the magic god Oath, who is a friend of Anubis, or so I was told, and the nameless innocent ghosts picked up my left arm, soul, that was cut off and reattached it with their power. At that time, it seems that some ghosts were absorbed into me as the connecting material to connect my arm. When I woke up, a log of skills acquisitions that I did not remember training was displayed at the edge of my field of vision. To be absorbed into a disgustingly strong bastard like you is synonymous with having their consciousness extinguished. Even so, they said they want to give and be your power as a thanks for giving that shitty bastard a blow, you know. Well, it won't give you a bad influence or something of the likes, so make the best use of them in a way that would satisfy them. So were the words of my doctor, Dr. Oath. In other words, it's the acquisition of bonus skills after clearing a scenario. Having understood so, I let out a sloppy grin on my face and received a splendid praise. You are gross, from my doctor. I think it is necessary to consider the mentality of the patient whose consciousness just returned, you know. Oath-sama. If you were a woman, I would have been seriously depressed though? Well, with all that said, the various troubles ended while I was unconscious, and now I'm living a leisurely life recuperating. Originally, I was thinking of spending 4 months, 4 days on the time axis of the real world, to collect points, and have them exchanged for revival, but since I ended up getting it as a reward, I seriously have nothing to do. Honestly, I didn't expect to be involved in the uproar so far in just a few days after arriving at the netherworld. No, it was impossible to predict. Since I have to have complete rest until next week, I can't even move away from the bed, so the most I can do right now is doing something like knitting. After that is just to reassess the state of the skills that I had acquired thus far, so I'll be spending my time at slow pace for once after a long while. And G-H, so cold. Pardon my intrusion, Sakurai-san. Iris-san. Mew, what is with that reaction? That is rude to someone coming to visit you, you know? After saying so, Iris-san mutters so cold while getting onto the bed, and then sticks to me. The soft sense of touch and the sweet scent peculiar to women shake my reason, but in light of the circumstances she ends up doing this, honestly speaking, I rather feel irked by it. Iris Knifelime, who lost her memory. It seemed that she became completely traumatized by the feeling of being deprived of her something physically and mentally at that event. So coupled with the confined state of affairs, it seems that the fear of coldness has taken root in both her mind and body. She therefore fell into a situation where she couldn't live freely unless she gets in contact with people and absorb their heat through her magic eyes. Then, all's fine as long as she absorbs heat, right? So I thought, but the people of the netherworld are mostly dead people. Not only there are just a few owners of heat that she can get warmth from, even if they do possess it, the majority of them are criminal candidates who mostly thinking about doing bad things. It would be a big problem to be with such lot all the time. Thus, the ones selected out of the Mami and Higaki. It seems that it was concluded that there would be no problem if it was us who, in addition to had worked hard for her sake, were the possessors of heat that even Iris-san acknowledged. As for me, I would like her to stick to Higaki day and night, but Iris-san grandly declared that since my heat is the highest, she wants to get warmth from me at night rather than at day, which was a statement that might invite misunderstanding. Higaki, who heard it, supported Iris's judgment with a malicious smile. If anything happens, I will kill him. No, please leave killing him to me, persuading the surrounding people, and as a result, when it turned dusk, Iris-san would come to my hospital room and starts sticking to me. Being stick to Iris-san, whose beauty is as might be expected from an additional heroine, is tempting, or more precisely, posing a danger as a typical adolescent boy. But given that the circumstances being as is, Iris-san herself is entrusting her body to me as though she doesn't have a shred of doubt, therefore causing me to worry endlessly about things like the sincerity for that trust, men's natural instinct, and the fact that it makes it difficult to knit and dropping my leveling efficiency. It is so bothersome. I wonder how did it come to this? It wasn't like the Iris-san in the original work holds such a trauma. She behaved normally until at the parting with the protagonist, and the very end she said, "It seems that I am also affected by your kind heat." Which should be a normal heroine move, right? Sakurai-san, it is a little cold, so can you get a little hotter? Don't ask the impossible. It is so cold, I tell you. Please. Iris-san, who is hugging my waist on the bed, looks up at me in a begging-like manner. The warmth should be at the room temperature unquestionably, but it seems that the loneliness, the coldness in her heart reacts excessively even at the slightest difference of it. While sighing at the trembling transmitted from the arms wrapping around me, I take out my knitting tools and starts leveling silently. After a while, I gradually begin to be absorbed in the work and became less concerned about Iris-san. My path to knit has just begun and I still have a long way to go. I'll improve my skill to the point of at least being able to make small changes by the time I return to the real world. Iris-san, who is satisfied at the heat of mine, who is thinking like that and knitting the yarn silently, begins to yawn gently. I continue knitting for a while and come to realize that Iris-san is sleeping when the yarn has run out. What should I do about this? While racking my brain about how to deal with things from here on, today too I fall asleep while being hugged by Iris-san. LVL Chapter 33, like I said, this is utopia. Ouchan. What is it, Sakurai? About the extra reward god Anubis mentioned. I can't think of anything I want in particular. Ao-chan, do you have something you want? Your life. Can you stop answering while taking your eyes off? 1 month has passed since I was discharged from the hospital. You have become able to move safely without any problems, took special threads that could be obtained using alchemy, item creation, and is working hard on leveling in the tower today as well. Higaki also accompanies me for training again, while Iris goes to see God's Oath of Niflheim for counseling. Because of the loss of her accumulated memories, it seems that she is having an age regression in order to balance her memories and heart. Or something like that, So, the thing about memories form your personality is true, Recalling what Iris's Dr. Thoth said, I flip my wrist and manipulate the threads that extend from it to slash a monster. This is the power of my newly acquired combat skill, Shishu, lit. Thread sewing. Shishu is one of the skills that the ghosts I absorbed memorized. It is a skill that allows you to fight by manipulating thread. While Shishu doesn't have that high of an attack power, it has various effects such as giving continuous damage to enemies and giving debuffs such as restraint that slow down their speed, and conversely increasing your own speed. It is a very effective skill with various application. As I learned from the battle with Barbie, Flame Sword is a very offensive-oriented skill, so I want to have another hand to play, and Shishu can be said to be a wonderful skill that seems be able to fulfill that demand. If I put a bundle of threads in my cuffs, I can even replace them in case of emergency. I need practice though. Thus, I'm effortlessly killing monsters by flinging threads at them in the lower layer of the tower where I can take a safety margin for certain, but no matter how I look at it, Higaki's condition is strange. If it's the usual her, she would snap at me, saying, "You are ditching teacher's flame sword?" And take a stance with the intention to rush on and attack me, but the current her is just continuing to tear through the monsters with her sword silently. Don't tell me, she has become a little amicable? So with that thought in mind I brought up the topic about the extra prize of the event this time. But the response I got back was an extreme bloodthirst, and my faint expectation was shattered brilliantly. Now, I'm completely stuck. Wonder what happened. Ao-chan? No, Higaki-san. What is it, Sakurai? If there's anything bothering you or something, I would like it if you share it to me quickly. If you bottle it up like that, I'm undoubtedly sure that you will point your blade at me when it explodes. So it's hard for me to concentrate on leveling, you know. Ao-chan, who is sighing while cutting down the monster coming at her from the side without giving it a glance, gives a very dangerous impression, right? No, isn't it already too late to question it at this late hour? However, even though she is a little amazed, it seems she is going to talk to me about it. So I listen carefully for her words while keeping the monsters away with the trap I created by stretching the threads around. For now, let's have you guys, monsters, become dice stakes. Although we are able to return to the real world, the things that await me after returning get me down. See? Really? Unlike you, I have the position of chairman of the disciplinary committee. On top of using that position for my self-interest, I caused a personal fight with you. Moreover, I ended up dying at the end. I wonder what kind of face should I make when I return. People who have social life sure have it hard. That's rich coming from a guy who played hooky on the first day of school. I couldn't go even if I wanted to because you attacked me though. Although it's too late to be worried about it now, I wanted to attend the Promise of Fantasy Worlds, magic type classes, and I also wanted to attend the battle classes for the sake of entering the dungeon. Well, I found the loophole before enrollment, so I had no reason to go to the latter, so it disappeared from my head. There are many other attractive things such as skills, items, and events that can be obtained by advancing in school lessons. When I return to the real world, should I start on setting my hand there as well? Putting that aside, as you're running around to kill people because of jealousy, it's probably already too late to start talking about embarrassment or the likes. That's not something you have to worry about. That might be true. Might as well abandon them. Seriously, you're gonna forfeit everything, just like that? You're kidding me, right? Although she became a part of the orderly people only for a short while, She sure did well in becoming the chairman of the disciplinary committee. If she's gonna forfeit everything without hesitation like that, it would make me refreshed and feel good. On the contrary, in the future, if something happens, let's testify to the media that I thought she would definitely do it someday. Well, that makes me feel at ease a bit. So, while enduring embarrassment, I want to ask for a favor from you. A favor? I want you to teach me Sensei/Higaki, who cut down the last animal in the surroundings, looks at me with serious eyes. Uncle's technique. Fake sword masters/ I don't know what kind of change of heart she had since that time when she killed me because she couldn't forgive me for using it, but now she is no longer a stranger, and I had her cooperate with me several times in this time's case. So I'm not unwilling to teach her that. I'm not unwilling. But I'll teach you if there's something that can be taught, but... You see, Tilda, is there any problem? No, just that, it's only a technique of slashing faithfully to the basic, so there's nothing to teach about, you know. The true nature of sword masters/ is the extremity of simple training. As a result of the act of slashing faithfully to the basic reaching an extremely high level, it has become a skill. Speaking of its difference from an ordinary slash, it is that it ignores all factors, defense power, and deliver the power it is packed with as it is without loss. In other words, it is something that eliminate waste completely. So even though she said she want to learn it, I can only say just swing your sword. I have to say, even though I was taught how to swing a sword by Uncle Bonus, and continued to do so for many years, and on top of that, kept on having it heaped upon my body while training with real swords to the point of dying, I was only barely be able to learn it as a fake imitation. There is no doubt that the amount of time I spent on training is different from that of Higaki, and even after learning it, it is still a skill with a high degree of difficulty that requires concentration and reservoir, so it is not something that you can learn overnight. Uncle Bonus, who continuously toss out such skill as normal attacks, is really amazing after all. Right. Let's have him play with me again next time. Just swing your sword without any waste. If you don't understand, grasp the sensation of being cut by it. From the sensation of being cut, imagine how the slash is and then swing your sword. This is all I can say. I see. As expected of teacher. Gosh, I wonder how high of a place he is at. Even so, it's good that you're fired up, but please go elsewhere. Oops. I'm sorry. However, just realizing that if I keep swinging my sword, I'll be able to reach him someday is a fortune. Higaki, who said that, loosened the strength in her shoulders, relaxing as though the evil spirit possessing her has been removed. I have always longed for teacher. I have been longing for that stroke of sword. However, because I have been longing for it, I keep swinging my sword without trying to understand even a fragment of it. The proof of that is I barely comprehend what that stroke of sword is like from what you said just now. I was just longing for it. You comprehended it and tried to make it your own. I just kept standing still on the farthest place from teacher. That's just how stupid I am. Higaki looks back and slashes the monster approaching her from behind. Then she turns her back to me and mutters with her face away from me. I was really stupid. The shoulders that tremble slightly, and the voice that sounds as though she tries her best pretending to be calm. I can neither understand nor guess the feelings that all jumbled together in her. Even so, there is only one thing I can say as her acquaintance, as a fellow disciple, that is, the objective fact, and precisely because I know that she is a main character. Only I can say it with certainty. Even I could do it, so you can do it too. Don't fret over it. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the difference in pure talent. Until I met you, I could only release up to 3 snakes with my own fire snake. In contrast, you displayed before my eyes 9 snakes, which are something I've never seen before. Despite the fact you and I have many times difference in the time spent on training, at least in terms of talent and competency, you are more superior than me. But I've proved that if you keep doing it, you can reach it, right? Since I've proven it, that means it is a technique, skill, that could be learnt as long as the conditions are met, no matter how misshapen and roundabout, inefficient, they are. Unlike me, she has both qualities and talent, and she has a solid technique, It would be more strange if she can't do it even though she has understood the theory, let alone this is a game world. Unlike reality, your effort continues to increase and accumulate as experience points, and the accumulated effort does not decrease no matter how much time passed. Even if she has been leveling inefficiently until now, she is definitely approaching the skill acquisition line step by step. Level up, efforts pay off. That is the absolute law, system, of this world. As long as she doesn't lose sight of it, there isn't even a shred of reason to grieve. That view is arrogant, you say? That's natural. The majority of players play while looking down on the story, game, and evaluate it subjectively, so there's no way they're not arrogant. Rather, if you are inside a game world, this much arrogance should be just right. I think it's good to be aware of your current position, but you should quit comparing yourself to me, mob, and thinking that you, main character, can't do it. If you look at it from the perspective of someone like me, you would think, what the heck is this girl doing? After all. If you've understood the theory of the technique, all you have to do is aim for it and continue training, leveling, until you learn it. If you do so, you will definitely be able to learn it. Higaki, who turned around at my words, is stunned by what I said, and after casting down her eyes, she leaks out an exasperated dry laugh that I've heard so many times that I couldn't count it. You would naturally say so. Your stance is rather refreshing, really. I take off my hat to you. Is that a compliment? It is a compliment, you know. That's why I will say it only once. Thank you. After saying so, she mutters I'm going back and heads for the exit. Not understanding what she was thankful for, I tilt my head and conclude there's no need to think it deeply, and continue leveling until just before the day change. LVL Chapter 34 Cause of Hardships. It's been 3 months since I've been leveling in the netherworld. Let's talk about my current status. Status is a quantification of the strength of a character, the same as level's numerical value. It is something that visualizes and expresses the capacities required to play and advance in the game, such as physical strength, magic power, offensive power, and defensive power as numerical values. That is status. Status is the indicator of strength. It also serves as the basis for my judgment when I talk about the strength of level so-and-so character is equivalent to the middle stage class in the original game. Now then, talking about my status, honestly, I don't quite understand it. When I was sensing it, should be more or less this much, right? Such was the feeling that I could get, but I couldn't get an expression of an accurate numerical value which I could use to illustrate it to others. I grasp my own level and the level of the skills I have acquired clearly. That might be the reason why I'm not that interested in my own status. But since the current situation is as such, it can't be helped. And were I to judge according to that vague feeling, it can be said that my status is inferior to the original main characters at the same level, I think. Do you remember the thing about my level limit being 50 before? Nowadays, the upper limit of my level has increased by using star seeds, but the level limit of 50 is meager compared to that of the original main characters. Well then, speaking about the upper limit of the level of the original main characters, it is 100, which is twice as much as mine. The ruthless reality, that is the existence of twofold difference in our potential, is laid out before me when I think that the mob me only has level limit of 50. By the way, Higaki is also a main character, so her level limit is 100 as well. Some people should have begun to make a conjecture at this point, but the difference in level limit means the difference in talent. And in addition, my status is also inferior to the original characters at the same level by about not only 1, but 3 steps. According to my sense, mine is 30% inferior. In other words, the status of when I am level 100 is equal to level 70 of the original main characters. Because my current status is including the enhancement from equipment, the difference will be even wider when comparing just pure status. My current level is 75. That means if compared to the original main characters, my status is equivalent to level 50. No wonder I had a hard time fighting Barbie. My level at the enrollment of the academy was 57, but my status was equivalent to level 40. Higaki's level at the time of the academy's enrollment should have been around 30, so my real strength certainly surpassed hers. But the difference didn't seem to be as big as I thought. The status difference will continue to have an effect to the distant future. If possible, I want to fill in that difference as much as possible. That's why I thought of trying to ask Dr. Thoth to remodel my body, but it seems it's no good after all. I don't understand what you are saying, but you ought to fix that lack of hesitation, you idiot. Ouch. I tried consulting with Iris to get her help in order to persuade Anubis and Dr. Thoth somehow, but given the mood, it seems like borrowing her assistance is impossible. While Iris hitting Poco me angrily with the rod, I turn my gaze toward Higaki as if to ask for her help. When she notices my gaze, she put the juice she is drinking on the table and return a stare to me. Why do your thoughts immediately go beyond ethics? Because I want to be stronger right at this instant. Monday. You said with your mouth that strength is not something you can acquire overnight. That is talking about skill, not about status, so don't get me wrong. Skill acquisition and level up are things that you can manage somehow with effort, but the increase in status is not a problem that can be solved on the player side. So, since remodeling my body is no good, I have no choice but to use the legitimate means. Please do so from the beginning. Doing so requires an item called the seed. Seed? You are talking about the magic gem said is able to allow a human to exceed the limit of their body by eating it. But that is a very valuable thing. Even finding one is a difficult task, isn't it? As Higaki says, the seed series, which are items that can increase your status permanently by eating them, is limited in terms of availability and number even in the original game. If it can be obtained in too large a quantity, it would upset the balance of the game, so it can be said to be an extremely natural measure, I guess. That's why now I'm having God Anubis search for seeds in exchange of the extra prize. Some have been found so far, but if you too find one, please don't use it and save it instead. Do you not want us to hand them to you or something? Iris, it's a pretty valuable item after all. Of course, I'd be happy if you give it to me, but wanting to use it for yourself is the nature of human, right? You're right. I, too, want to use it for myself if there is a chance to improve my strength. That's the person who robbed others of their weapons for you. What you said is truly different, isn't it? Oi, didn't we already put that matter behind us? Oopsie, it was a chance to instigate, so I reflexively activated Gamer's interpersonal skill, auto-instigate. Rude. Let's apologize. I'm sorry Ouchan. I get beaten with the rod she takes from Iris. Ouch. Anyway, returning to the topic at hand, I want seeds, but there is something I want to confirm when we return to the real world, so I hope they will bring it without using it. If it goes well, we can save time to become stronger, and if nothing happens, that's that. If it's something with no risk but high return, there should be no loss in doing so. For now, I'll get the two's agreement and end this talk. The length of our stay, vacation, in the netherworld is already long overdue, so it's about time we are thinking of returning. Fui. You must be thinking about something bad again. Eh? No, I'm thinking about anything, you know. Sakurai-san always laughs like that whenever he is thinking about something not good. Don't be silly. Believe my words. I'm sure everyone will be happy. So, can you both stop sighing at the same time? He's even willing to remodel his body XD. LVL Chapter 35. The level idiot gets revived. After one thing after another, half a year has passed in the netherworld. Finally, my level has reached the upper limit of 80, so there is no more reason to stay in the netherworld, where starseed couldn't be obtained. It is an additional downloadable content though, right Tilda? They should have put around 10, 20, 100, or 200 starseeds here as a thank you to those who bought it, right Tilda? Even if I say such silly things, the reality doesn't change, so I decide to return to the real world quietly. Damn it, even though the netherworld is the best leveling stage where I can continue hunting all day long as I still have mental strength. Weren't the reason why other people making a demonstration because you hunted the monsters in the tower alone until they ran out? I have already replenished the monsters, haven't I? Due to that, you have been banned from entering the tower to this day. You are totally reaping what you sow. aren't you? In regard to the occurrence of the overflowing stampede that occurred just because I fiddle with the central system a little, I have been reflecting a bit. I just wanted to level up her great god Anubis. Higaki cut short that excuse of mine and threw me away. Then Iris beat me up fair argument till I was unable to stand, and now even Anubis began to be somewhat sloppy in treating me. Even today, when we were giving our last farewell, although he gave words of encouragement to Higaki and Iris, he only ended it with brief words, "Keep it moderate, farewell." When it came to me, Monday, to let you off just like that after you caused such an uproar is already greatly gentle of him, I think. Iris says so while being amazed. No, you see, I understand that too, you know. I know that this is just me reaping what I sow, you know. But, you know, there should be something more, right? There is none. Now, let us go. You say so resolutely again today. Did you get anything good or something? This should be no better news than being revived though. When you put it like that, that sure is true. While regaining my extremely typical sense, I head to the top floor of the tower following Iris's lead along with Higaki. You can revive to the real world by riding the God of Death's ferry that exists on the top floor of the tower. To board the ferry, you need to get a pass from God Anubis. This item is a proof of clearing the scenario. The ferry is an extremely ordinary wooden ship. However, its size is as big as a sailing ship. I think you can somehow grasp of what I'm saying if I say that it is as big as the ships that appears in pirate movies. Since it is called a ferry, I thought it would be a small boat or the sorts, but isn't this quite splendid? If it is this, we surely won't have to be worried about the luggage. The equipment I got for the battle with the shitty bastard, plus the seeds that I had God Anubis collected. The others are alchemical materials and alchemy accessories. They added up to be quite a large luggage, so I was worried, but it seems it's going to be fine. Well, the one who was the most concerning was Iris-san, however. Following Higaki's words, we both look at Iris who is boarding the ship first. Behind her is a cart filled with daily necessities and furniture. The quantity is completely no longer just of someone who moves. Iris, who is pulling a cart that is filled to the point of exceeding my height while humming, seems to have a strength that doesn't match her slender arm. You too, Tilda. What's up, Tilda? We are departing soon, you know, Tilda. Iris, who is waving happily from the deck, will accompany us and move to the real world. Although her mental health has recovered a lot in the last 6 months, she couldn't completely break out of the trauma etched deep in her heart, and although the frequency has decreased, she couldn't stop coming in contact with me or Higaki in search of heat. So, as a result of various discussions with Anubis, it was decided that she was to have a change in environment from the netherworld where exists the tower that surely reminds her of the incident, to the real world and have her try to live there. The ones who were entrusted with her there were me and Higaki. We objected against the selection many times, saying, please stop and reconsider it, but it was overruled by Iris's final say, I will go if it's with the two of them. To be suddenly entrusted with an older girl, what should we do? There's no point in crying over spilt milk, right? It seems that house and work will be manageable, so if she were to socialize with normal people after that. Ah, what's up? Sorry, that's not what I meant. Why do you apologize? Even I can at least look after Iris. Or you, don't give me sorry eyes and go board the ship. Oi, wait. It seems that she thinks I'm a good-for-nothing who can't even socialize, but after being pointed that out by Iris, I've been polishing myself well, you know. Now, I have enough interposal skill to at least laugh and end the conversation when a stranger talk to me. You know. What's with that face? Got a problem with me? I chase after Higaki and board the ship while objecting her. Depart. The ship that starts to move with the shout from Iris floats in the air and takes off to the real world. Eventually, the ship is wrapped in light, dyeing my vision white. I, who until that point was trying to drag out Higaki who was holding herself in the captain's room, tries to adjust my perception, but it ends in failure. You can read more chapters, up to 12, on Patreon. LVL Chapter 36. The person who aims for the right end. Thank you for your hard work, Ethel. A manai. What, if it isn't a manai? What's that, a gift? Ethel, refreshments for you. Have a taste. A room in a hospital attached to the academy. There I quietly entered with fruits as a gift. The one who responded to my voice was a female student. She is a blonde blue-eyed elf who is wearing a school uniform in a sloppy manner and a veiled hood, a wimple worn by nuns. Small cross rosaries are hung on her wrists. Ethel Tyner, one of the heroines in the original game Frontier Academia and a member of my party. So, how is his condition? Well, so. Seems like the reason he still hasn't regained consciousness even though he was fully recovered is because his condition was pretty awful, or something. Though we pretended to be his friends here for visiting him, honestly, I think using such expensive medicines for a mere student kinda plain suspicious, don't ya think? Ethel, after taking out a red apple from the bag I handed over to her, Ethel begins to eat it without peeling the skin while making crunching noises. Without minding about how far apart her behavior is from a nun, I turn my gaze to the bed. The one who is sleeping there with bandages wrapping all over his body is a male student named Sakurai Toru, who, according to the information I had asked Ethel to investigate, was the boy who fought against Higaki Ao, and trespasser of the academy dungeon who had been a source of trouble among teachers for many years. And, he might be a reincarnator, the same as me. Because I have no relation with Higaki-san, it would be unnatural for me to go visiting her, and if the disciplinary committee were to find me suspicious or something, it will probably become a hindrance to our exchanges in the future. With that in mind, I decided to investigate the male student who was her opponent. Fortunately, Sakurai is also a freshman, and he even never came to the class after ditching the entrance ceremony, so even when pretended to be his old friends, no one pried deeply into it. Ethel seemed to have slightly sensed that I came into contact with Sakurai for some purpose, but perhaps because she was uninterested, she didn't look into the matter. Well, there's also the talk about this guy being an acquaintance of the Sword Saint after all. Perhaps, hearing his condition, the Sword Saint arranged some things from behind the scenes. That would make things more or less understandable, but that's just a wild delusion, ain't it? Ethel, Sword Saint, you say? Eh? You mean Higaki-san's master? You know about that? I'm told that he became his disciple before the chairman of the disciplinary committee, so that makes him her senior apprentice brother so to speak. Lately he even went to the guild to meet him. Ethel, wait a second, lately? Is the Sword Saint alive? What's with you all of a sudden, to say such a rude thing suddenly? It's not like you at all. Ethel, it's natural that I'm surprised. In the original story of the game, it was said in the episode of Higaki that the Sword Saint was already deceased. Therefore, there was no one other than Higaki who possessed the skills of the Sword Saint. She took an interest in the protagonist who learned the skill she taught for fun and thus began their interaction. Such was the flow of the original story. The person who is supposed to be dead is alive, and the person who's supposed to be alive is unconscious. And the guy named Sakurai Toru is involved with both. The suspicion that he might be a reincarnator in my mind grows. If he is a reincarnator, does he have the knowledge of the original game? And if he does, how much does he know? And above all, I have to make clear of how he perceives this world. We might be able to cooperate, or I can persuade him to carry on without interfering with each other. If otherwise, he is thinking of proactively breaking the original story, he will clash with me who is aiming to follow the original. It's the worst. To be honest, there is part of me hoping he will continue to stay unconscious as he is. Though I hate myself for having such selfish thought, still, thinking about one's own convenience is the nature of human. It is frustrating that the only thing I can do is wait while conflicting thoughts are jumbled up together in my head. Keeping watch on a guy isn't fun, right? Since the fee I received this time is bit high, just leave this place to me and you go pick up Akano and have some fun. You haven't given her attention lately, your girlfriend will get sulky you know? Ethel, girlfriend, you say? Roku and I don't have that sort of relationship. Hey, she likes you, so show her your dependability for a bit. If you ignore the fortune of being liked by such a good girl, you will get hurt in the distant future, you know? Ethel, I can't afford to think about such a thing now. I knew that she, my childhood friend, likes me. However, this year is an important time to decide whether or not this nation will be destroyed. If it's a case that could be settled by following the original flow, it is the duty of the protagonist, Amanai Hayato, to follow through that. It's exactly because many people's lives are at stake here that I wanted to focus on the flow of the original. Even if that's the case, look after her once in a while, Kay. I've even become accustomed to her complaints because she made me listen to them every time. Ethel. Okay, I know. I'll make some time. Amanai. Then go now, chop chop. For some reason this exchange makes it feels like we're having an affair, ain't it? Ethel. Even as a joke, could you please stop saying something like that? Amanai. My bad, and yelling in a hospital room is not good, you know Tilda? Ethel. Nishishi. Ethel laughs and pushes my back, kicking me out of the hospital room. Did she tease me because she likes me or because she doesn't? Perhaps because my tension gets released after leaving the hospital room. I, feeling somewhat worn out, decide to play the whole day as a distraction. Now that I've decided so, why don't I invite Rika out to go somewhere? I don't even remember if I ever have a calm outing since the enrollment. Amanai. I start walking to look for Rika. The absence of phone in this strangely modernish world is inconvenient, but it can't be helped. However, this kind of inconvenience might be fun too, so I change my mind, and walk while looking at the scenery of the academy that I haven't paid attention to until now. You can read more chapters, up to 12, on Patreon.